Reborn as the villain in my favorite game to crush both the hero and the Demon King. Volume 1 by Masquerade Audiobooks. Prologue, what is your favorite game? If someone asked me such a question, I surely would name the game Dungeon Brave Souls without any hesitation. This game is a fantasy RPG set in a world of sword and magic, combined with romance elements with multiple heroines in a school. The main character's name is Leon Brave. He is a descendant of the hero who once sealed the Demon King and is a new student at the Royal Sword and Magic Academy in the Slayer Kingdom, where the story is set. Upon entering the school, the hero meets various heroines, forms a party, and goes on adventures in the dungeon. He fights against many enemies, finds treasures and magic items, and sometimes confronts incidents caused by human malice. The hero, who has strengthened his bonds with the heroines in this way, will eventually fight against the Demon King to save the world as a descendant of the heroes. This game, which attracted many players with its colorful illustrations and dynamic battle system, was originally an adult-rated PC game. Naturally, the game also included a strong love scene with the heroine. These scenes, which were later cut in the all-ages version of the game, were one of the elements that drew many men into the world of Dunbrave, aka Dungeon Brave. The appeal of the game was not limited to the game itself, but went on to become a manga series, merchandise, and even an anime. Now, I have been talking about the charm of Dunbrave like this, but if someone asked me what game I dislike, I would answer like this without any hesitation. Dungeon Brave Souls 2, this is an unbelievably shitty game. As the name suggests, this 2 game inherited the worldview of its predecessor Dungeon Brave Souls, but within a week of its release, it caused an uproar that shook the game industry. This game is set in the world after Leon has sealed the Demon King, but the main character is not Leon Brave. The main character is a man named Zenon Baskerville, Leon's classmate who had appeared only by name until then. If I had to describe this Zenon in a simple way, I would have to call him a scumbag, a womanizer, and a bastard. Zenon Baskerville appeared in front of Leon, who had restored his peaceful life after defeating the Demon King. He approaches Leon as a male friend, and they begin to interact with each other. Leon, who until then had been surrounded by heroines and had no male friends, accepted this new bad friend favorably and gradually opened his heart to him. However, the closer Leon and Zeno get to each other, the more the heroine that they had been bonding with begins to act strangely. They started to avoid Leon more than necessary and started to disappear from the school during lunch breaks and holidays. Those of you who are sensible enough to have noticed this will have noticed it after I have explained the situation so far. Yes, Leon's beloved heroine has been cuckolded by Zenon Baskerville. Zenon approached Leon and used every means to seduce the heroine. Violence, threats, kidnapping, drugs, hypnosis, and brainwashing by dark magic. No matter what, the hero's comrades who defeated the Demon King could not defy the power of the Baskervilles, who were the high-ranking aristocrats in the Slayer Kingdom and the bosses of the gangs that controlled the underworld. With each passing moment, not only their bodies, but also their hearts were corrupted. The 3 main heroines are not the only ones who have been exposed to Zeno's evil. The female teachers of the school, the seniors whom he had taken care of, the junior students whom he had cherished, to top it all off, even Leon's mother and little sister, who live in a remote village far from the royal capital, have fallen prey to Zeno. Leon Brave, the main heroine, the sub-heroine, and all the women he has ever been involved with, have been stolen from him. The young man who was supposed to be the hero who defeated the Demon King is finally accused of a crime he did not commit, loses his honor, and is imprisoned as a criminal. In the end, the heroines are shown being held by Zeno and letting out flirtatious moans, and shed tears of blood in despair. Naturally, this new Dunbrave, which has become an insidious and ugly NTR game, a complete turnaround from the heartrending love and battle stories of its predecessor, has been flooded with condemnation and criticism. The production company's phone rang daily with the protests of traumatized players, and the production staff even held an apology press conference due to the overwhelming number of complaints. Why did the staff, who were supposed to be producing a dreamlike fantasy game, create such a challenging and problematic work in a bad sense of the word? There are various reasons for this. such as the producer's wife cheating on him with a young man during the production of the game, or the writer of the scenario getting scammed out of his savings by a marriage scam. There are various malicious behind-the-scenes circumstances of human beings. Of course, I sympathize with the staff members who have become despaired over the female creature and have become desperate. However, as a player who has been traumatized by them, even I cannot forgive them. At the end of the turmoil, the production company went bankrupt, and I believe that this was a natural retribution. Although Done Brave went through such a black history of glory and destruction, surprisingly, there are still some deep-rooted fans even after the turmoil. In this world, there are people who envy others' happiness and rejoice in their unhappiness. Although a minority, there are also people who long for the bad guys. To such people, Leon Brave, a man who has everything, including love and honor, seems to be nothing more than a bad guy for them. It seems that there were quite a few players who got excited at the sight of Leon losing his heroine and longed for Zenon, who walked proudly in the path of evil. But I, a big fan of the previous game, couldn't understand it at all. But there were even people who said that Done Brave 2 was a divine game. What an absolutely lamentable thing to hear. Well, now that I have discussed at length about the games I like and the games I don't like, I would like to get down to the main topic. I am very sorry for the sudden change of subject, but it seems that I am dead. This is not in the game world, but in the real world. Of course, I cannot be revived in a church, nor can I use resurrection magic. Wait, if I'm dead, there's no way I can talk. So who the hell am I? Since some of you may be wondering like that, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Zenon Baskerville. I am a person who lost his life in modern Japan and was reincarnated into the world of video game as a villainous protagonist. Chapter 1. Villain Reincarnation. A ceiling I don't know. I got up from the bed, uttering the standard lines. My head is throbbing. Every muscle in my body ached like a sore muscle. What in the world is wrong with me? Wait, where am I anyway? This is not my room, is it? I look around the room and talk to myself. The room I woke up in was a Western-style room like a high-class hotel. The beds are large enough to accommodate 5 or 6 people, and the wardrobe and tables are designed in a luxurious manner. When I looked down, I saw my own clothes. It was not the high school jersey that I usually use as a sleepwear. Instead, I was wearing only a pair of pants, and my upper body was naked. Wait, when did I become such a thin macho man? I have lean muscles in spite of my slim body, and my abs are split into 6 pieces. No way, are you kidding me? At this stage, I realize what has happened to me. Isn't this so-called that? Isn't this the same kind of thing that happens in light novels and web novels? I found a mirror hanging on the wall of my room. I get up from my bed and stand in front of the mirror, my body throbbing with pain. In the mirror is a young man with dark hair. He was a handsome, Western-looking man with a slender and straight nose, but his eyes were unusually sharp, and the color of his eyes was as red as blood. He looked like a vampire in a movie. His face gave me a strong impression of being scary or frightening rather than good-looking. Such a face I've never seen before. To begin with, I'm just an ordinary company employee born and raised in Japan. I don't look like a mafia heir. Wait, mafia heir? I realized that I recognized the face in the mirror from a casual word I thought in my mind. As I frantically search through the sea of my memory, my life history comes back to me in a chain of events. I was in Japan. I was an office worker in my early 30s. My hobby was a game. The last thing I can remember is coming home late at night after work, exhausted. My body was like lead from working overtime. I had been staying overnight at the office, and it had been a week since I had been home. I soaked in the bath for the first time in a long time and drank beer in one gulp, lamenting how I ended up working for such a black company, and then my memory is cut off. Probably I died after that. Stroke or heart attack or overwork. At that time, I was at an age when I was worried about adult diseases. I had been working so hard that I was afraid I might break down at any time. Maybe I died in the house where I lived alone, and I was reincarnated, like in the light novels. Oh, come on, are you serious? No way could this face be. After searching my memory for a while, I finally realized the identity of the person in the mirror. This evil face that seems to be a mixture of all the evil intentions of the world. Could it be that I've been reincarnated as Zenon Baskerville? Zenon Baskerville. He was an asshole to me in my previous life, the most hateful character. It is the name of the villain who has corrupted the divine game I love so much, Dungeon Brave Soul. Why didn't I recognize him sooner? There are probably no other faces in the world that look this bad. Is it possible that I had locked my memory to prevent myself from remembering the trauma this man had inflicted on me? Why? Why, of all people, am I reincarnated as this man? I clenched my fists in anger. Why Zenon Baskerville of all people? What kind of misdeed in a previous life would make me become the man I hate the most? Anger and frustration welled up like magma, and Zenon's face in the mirror became distorted like an ogre. If I am going to be reincarnated, I would have preferred to be Leon Brave, the hero. I wanted to make love with many heroines and build a harem. As I was screaming my soul out like this, there was a gentle knock at the door. Before I can answer, the door is opened. Excuse me, what? A young woman in a maid's uniform enters. She is probably in her mid-20s. Her purplish hair is tied on the top of her head, and she has a very attractive face. The maid stood in front of the mirror and froze her eyes, and her face turned pale as she looked at me. Excuse me, I apologize for entering the room without permission. She bowed her head quickly and vigorously. It was a deep bow, bent at a 90-degree angle at the waist. Usually Zenon-sama doesn't wake up even if I knock from outside the room, so I just went inside without permission. Please forgive me. Oh, The maid apologized desperately, and I twisted my face in confusion. It seems that Zenon is feared by the servants. He is indeed a rare villain, a cuckolding man who shook the game industry. Suddenly, the maid enters the room and I am speechless. She seems to have taken my reaction in a bad way. The woman looked up with a determined expression on her face. Please punish me for my rudeness. I beg your pardon. Whoa, the maid takes off her apron and unbuttons her blouse as if she had made up her mind. In front of my eyes, I am frozen by the sudden stripping, and the maid strips off her top and puts her hands on the wall. What? Please punish me as you always do. I'm ready. You that wound. The half-naked maid had numerous blue bruises on her back. The scars look as if they were caused by a whip, and painful swellings are spreading here and there on her white skin. As usual. No way is Zenon beating this maid on a daily basis. Does he undress her, expose her backside, and beat her with a whip? I was about to scream out in anger, but I managed to hold back my rage. If I made a fuss here, she would think I was suspicious. So, I slowly and repeatedly breathe to suppress my raging emotions, take a robe from the chair, and put it over the maid's back. Zenon-sama. The maid turns around with an uneasy voice. I keep my eyes down so that she can't see my face and say in a blunt tone, I won't punish you. Get dressed quickly. But usually at least 10 times. Don't make me tell you twice. I won't beat you for that. Get dressed. Eek. I understand. I'll get dressed now. The maid looks at me with a frightened look as she puts on her clothes. I look away from her well-shaped body and put on my own clothes while I still can. Fortunately, there are some men's clothes on the floor. This black-based outfit is the very Zenon that I have seen in the game. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm dressed now, but what should I do now? The woman dressed in a maid's outfit asked me. Once again, she is a beautiful woman of the highest level. I don't remember such a beautiful woman in the game, but I wonder if such a woman was buried as a mob. What day of the year is it? I watch the woman put on her maid's uniform, and then I open my mouth. I really wanted to ask her name, but she might find out that I am not Zenon. So I ask her today's date, blurring the words. Today is April 5th, the 101st year of Slayer history. The maid looks slightly puzzled, but quickly answers my question. It's not the Western calendar or the 2021 calendar, but the Slayer history. It seems that this is done brave world after all. April 5, 101st surely. It's a date I'll never forget. It is the day that Leon Brave, the protagonist of Done Brave, enters the Royal Sword and Magic Academy in the royal capital. As I have cleared not only the main scenario, but also the individual endings of the heroines and the sub-heroine routes that were later distributed as additional scenarios, it was a memorable date for me to remember the time of the entrance ceremony. Does that mean I'll be attending the school from today? Yes, today is Zenon-sama's entrance ceremony. The maid answered my unintentionally mumbled soliloquy with a dutiful response. Zenon Baskerville is a classmate of Leon's. Naturally, they enter the school on the same day. I look at the clock, a pendulum clock as tall as I am, and its short hand points to 6. The entrance ceremony starts at 9 o'clock am, so there is still time to spare. Zenon-sama, by any chance, are you going to miss your morning training today? Training? Yes, you seem to do it every morning, so I woke you up at the usual time today. Every morning without fail me. I blink in surprise at the maid's words. I never thought Zenon Baskerville had such a hardworking side. Indeed, Zenon in Dunbrave too was an honor student who boasted of being in the top ranks of his class. In the battle part of the story, he is a person who capable all kinds of jobs with high performance. And he is one of the most talented people who has no enemies except the main character and the Demon King. I didn't realize that behind his ability was the accumulation of such efforts, though I don't think that was depicted at all in Dunbrave 2. What has happened? If Zenon-sama are going to take a break from the training, I will prepare the breakfast right away. No, I'll train as usual. The training grounds, lead the way. Understood. The maid tilts her head curiously and leads the way out of the room and down the corridor. I, Zenon Baskerville, hiding my nervousness, followed the maid down the corridor of the house. Chapter 2, Training and Dedication. Huff, 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 huff. I clench my sword and swing it down in a steady rhythm. The metallic sword slices through the cool, early morning air, and the sharp sound of the wind echoes through the garden of the house. The Baskervilles were the high-ranking nobles with the rank of Marquis in the Slayer's kingdom. Its mansion is one of the largest in the capital, and its garden is as large as a small field. And now, in a corner of the spacious garden, I silently wielded my sword. In my right hand, I am holding a sword made of steel. The sword is a mock sword for training, so the edge seems to have been smashed by a hammer. Huff, 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 huff. With all my might, I strike down with the sword. There is a loud swing, and sweat beads from the tips of my hair. This blow was a sure kill if there had been an enemy in front of me. Seems I'm getting used to this body now. So I'll stop training. After taking a deep breath, I thrust my practice sword into the ground. My swordsmanship was that of an expert, but I had no fighting experience. The way to use a sword is ingrained in the body of this man, Zenon Baskerville. As I trained in this way, I gradually accustomed myself to Zenon's body. Now, after an hour of training, I even feel as if I had been using this body since I was born. By the way, Zenon is a surprisingly hard worker. I don't know much about fighting, but I don't think he could have reached this level by talent alone. I look at my right hand, which has let go of the sword, and murmur to myself. Zenon's right hand is covered with blood blisters, clearly showing that he has been training every day without a break. It is not only his swordsmanship that he excels. He must have practiced magic as well. Dark bullet. I fire a spell at a training target a short distance away. A black bullet, the size of a marble, pierces the target and penetrates. Zenon has the skill of dark magic. The man Zenon Baskerville must have devoted himself not only to the sword, but also to magic, for he can master it. How did such a hardworking man become a distorted character who finds pleasure in cuckolding other people's women? The more I think about it, the more I wonder. I don't understand how I became Zenon, but I have to live in this body. I have to know more about Zenon. It has only been an hour or so since I was reborn in the game world. But I am strangely no longer resisting the idea of living as Zenon Baskerville. Perhaps my body and mind have become one through exercise. Or perhaps the passage of time has made me resigned to the situation. I can now afford to positively consider the possibility of living a second life as a villainous character. To begin with, the reason why I hated Zenon Baskerville as if he were a piece of shit is because Zenon had slept with every heroine in Dunbrave too. If I think about it calmly, the present timeline is before the entrance ceremony of the school. In the game, it is before the opening of the first game. Since Zenon has not yet slept with the heroine, there is no reason to dislike him. Besides, if I am Zenon, I can avoid the depressing development that happened in Dunbrave too. On the contrary, I might be able to cooperate with Leon Brave to defeat the Demon King, or avoid dangerous scenarios and live a peaceful school life. Zenon-sama, I brought you some water. While I was thinking about my future plan, the maid brought a tub of water. There was a cloth soaked in water in the tub, and I guessed that she wanted me to wipe my sweat with it. Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. I accept the favor and take a cloth to wipe my face. The water is nice and cool, probably fresh from the well. I wipe my face, arms, and torso in turn, and when I go to dip the sweaty cloth in the water again, I notice that the maid is frozen with her eyes wide open. What's the matter? Why are you turned into a stone? Ah no, I can't believe Zenon-sama thanked me. Ah, I see. So that's how it is. It seems that Zenon was too proud to thank his servants. This is the same as in the game, and for some reason I feel relieved. The maid was frozen in the posture with the bucket on the table, but I heard that her name is Leviana. She was called so by other servants on the way to the training area. With a short breath, I look at the stunned Leviana squarely in the eyes. Leviana, your devotion has always been a great help to me. I've been too shy to say thank you, but I'm really grateful to you. I hope you'll continue to support me. That is an impossible line for the evil Zenon Baskerville. But I am not a villain like Zenon. Even if I try to act like Zeno, I am sure that one day I will be worn out. Then, it is better to act as if I have changed my mind at an early stage to gain more allies. Thinking so, I expressed my heartfelt thanks. Zenon-sama, no, young master, he thanked me. Her reaction was remarkable. Leviana's eyes widened like beads, and tears fell from her eyes. The bucket fell from her shaking hands and spilled water on the ground, but she did not seem to notice it, shaking her shoulders violently. Ah, this is the best day of my life. What a joy, what happiness, I am finally rewarded. Why you're overreacting? Well, it's my fault for not thanking you. Please keep up the good work. Yes, of course, I understand, young master, my young master. She was so overjoyed that I was the one who was supposed to be thanking her, but I was the one who was turned off. Leviana comes closer to me and puts her hands together as if she is worshipping me, and her cheeks are dyed rose-colored. I blush at the face of the approaching beauty, and I hurriedly turn my face away from her. Chapter 3. School entry. Now that I had Leviana on my side after the incident at the training area, I changed into my uniform, had breakfast, and left the residence. When I stepped out of the residence, a carriage was already waiting for me. The carriage was decorated with a coat of arms of a demon dog with a viper's tail on the side of the carriage. The coat of arms, which is a motif of Cerberus, the demon dog, is the crest of the Baskerville family. Have a nice day. Young master, yeah. As soon as entering the carriage, Leviana is waving her hand excitedly at the gate of the residence. In her right hand, a white handkerchief was waving like a flag. It was too exaggerated to send me off for going to the entrance ceremony. When I met her for the first time, her expression was as hard as iron skin, but with just a few kind words, she turned bright as if she had changed her appearance. She was easy woman, the kind of person who would lose her life to a DV man. It is said that women who are victims of domestic violence are deceived into thinking that a violent man is really a kind person by his occasional kind words. And Leviana, who was beaten by Zenon Baskerville on a daily basis, easily opened her heart to me when I was kind to her, is a perfect example of this. I'm going to have to take responsibility and take care of her. If I throw her out, she might be tricked and sold off. I made up my mind secretly and waved back discreetly from the carriage window. There were other maids and butlers who had come to see me off, but they all seemed to be amazed at Leviana's transformation. On the contrary, even passers-by on the street were gathering around to see what was going on. Let's go, now, why yes. I commanded in a loud voice, and the coachman rushed to drive the carriage. Young master, please be careful. Young master, please don't get hurt and come home safely, please give me a break. Is she sending off her lover to the battlefield? The cheering shouts soon fade into the distance and are no longer heard. I breathe a sigh of relief and lean my weight against the back of the carriage. Finally I can think slowly. I'm the only one in the carriage. There is a coachman riding the horse, but he is in the driver's seat, so he doesn't bother me. Now, the most important thing to think about immediately is how much of the game's scenario I should follow. The story of Done Brave starts from today's entrance ceremony, and the hero, Leon Brave, will spend 2 years with the heroine to grow up and seal the Demon King. I'm going to live with Leon and the heroine as a classmate, but to what extent should I be involved in the main scenario? The basic premise is that I will not steal the heroine. Of course not. I don't enjoy stealing other people's girlfriends. On the contrary, I have an orthodox view of love, preferring pure love. I will never take a depressing turn like Done Brave 2. This is a definite decision. Avoiding NTR is not only a matter of sexuality or ethics. If I take the heroine by following the story, the world will be destroyed without fail. A hero seals the demon king. Zenon takes the heroine. And the hero, in despair, resurrects the demon king. I dared to repeat the ending scene of Done Brave 2 aloud. Zenon steals all the heroines from Leon and shows him how he embraces them in the end. Leon, realizing that everything has been taken from him, despairs and resurrects the demon king whom he had sealed in the end. The world is destroyed by the demon king. Even Zenon, who is supposed to be the victor who cuckolded all the heroines, is wiped out by a massive magic spell unleashed by the demon king. This is a bad ending that must be avoided. In order to avoid this future, I must abandon NTR, which is synonymous with Zenon Baskerville. Then, it is better not to get involved with Leon or the heroine in the first place. Ignore the scenario and wait for Leon to defeat the demon king, and the world will be saved. In that light, perhaps the problem is easier than it seems. Leon will defeat the demon king and save the world on his own without me having to do anything. I don't have to move more than necessary. I don't have to involve myself with heroes or heroines and just enjoy my school life fluently. It's an easy job not to have to do anything. Isn't that what I wanted? I slapped my knee with a smile on my face. I had thought that my reincarnation into the game world would require me to do something for the world, but Zenon Baskerville is a person who is not needed for the salvation of the world. He is a man who is free to think about himself and live his life as he pleases. Make friends, make lovers, just live a happy school life. Maybe I've been thinking too hard. I'm not the hero. I don't have to carry the world on my shoulders. As soon as I let out a giggle, the carriage stopped. It seems that it has arrived at its destination. Through the door opened, I stepped out onto the ground with light steps. Oh, a huge structure looms in front of me. It is many times larger than the mansion of the Baskerville family, a high-ranking aristocrat. The clock tower behind it reaches up to the sky as gracefully and majestically as Big Ben, the pride of London. Slayer's Kingdom, the Royal Swords and Magic Academy. The school where the game I loved so much in my previous life, Dungeon Brave, takes place, stands before my eyes. Chapter 4, 3 Heroines. After getting off the carriage, I passed through the gate of the school. There seemed to be guards in armor waiting on both sides of the gate, but I was able to pass through without being stopped because I was wearing the uniform that had been provided to me beforehand. As I entered the school, there was a signboard in front of the school with a congratulatory message and directions to the entrance ceremony site. Tusk, don't be nervous. I'm not the only one. As I walk from the gate to the school building, I clutch my chest in excitement. Although the sequel has made me despair, Done Brave is a game I have played many times. So, the fact that I was walking on the grounds of the school where Done Brave took place moved me deeply inside. I felt as if I were on a pilgrimage to a holy place. I couldn't suppress my excitement and tightened my facial muscles desperately not to lose my facial expression. But, eek! I heard a short scream from a female student who was nearby saw my face. Wait, there is no need to make such an expression as if you had met a man-eating tiger. Even if I look like a bad guy, it's still hurtful to be frightened when I didn't do anything. Phew, it's so depressing. The tension that had been building up was cooled down to a moderate level, thanks to the frightened reaction of the stranger. But I take a few deep breaths to calm myself down, and then I list out my future plans in my mind. The entrance ceremony is to be held in the auditorium. After that, the students will be divided into classes for the orientation. This is the end of the school day's events. But after that, there is a class social gathering invited by a girl who has been appointed as a class committee member. There, for the first time, the hero, Leon Brave, comes into contact with the heroines who will be deeply involved in the story. The legendary social gathering event, kaya. When I let out a laugh, a group of girls nearby scream in unison. A group of 3 girls in school uniforms and blazers were huddled together, trembling and shaking their shoulders. No, why do they have to be so scared? Feeling unreasonable, I looked to the side and saw my face reflected in the glass window of the school building. The reflection of my face on the glass window is a villain's face, which looks like he is playing an evil trick. His eyes are upturned, and his sharp canine teeth are peeping out from between his lips. He looks as if he is thinking about how to cook his captive, and I almost screamed. Okay. Calm down. From now on, I'll try not to laugh in public. With this vow firmly in my mind, I followed the signboard and walked toward the auditorium. Section. Finally, I arrived at the auditorium, despite being avoided by the students walking around me. The seating order is not fixed, and it seems that the first person to arrive at the auditorium gets to choose the seat of his/her choice. So I sat down on a chair a little behind the center of the hall. Half of the seats in the auditorium are already occupied. The new students are talking with the students around them in a friendly atmosphere, thinking about the school life that is about to begin. Maybe I should make small talk with the students around me. I look around, but there is no one sitting beside me in the adjacent chairs. Strangely enough, even the one who had been sitting down just a moment ago has gone away. Why am I suddenly sitting alone at? Not that I'm lonely. I held my eyes, which had mysteriously grown hot, and mumbled a few words. I'm a villain anyway. I'm Zenon Baskerville, the bad guy, the evil cuckold. I won't be lonely if I'm all alone. Soon it is time for the entrance ceremony to begin, and the auditorium is almost full. Only around me, though, there was an empty seat in a neat rectangle. Phew! I crossed my arms and legs, sniffling lightly. There was no one around anyway, no need to worry. The entrance ceremony begins with the headmaster's speech and the congratulatory address and goes smoothly. In the game, it was a short event of about 5 minutes, but in the real world, of course, it is not so short. It lasted for more than an hour with the introduction of faculty members and speeches by the guests. Now, we will announce the top scorers of the entrance examination. At the words of the gray-haired teacher, my eyebrows twitched. This was an event that had also occurred in the game. The top 5 scorers of the entrance exam are called in order and stand up from their seats, and this is also the scene where the main heroines are unveiled. Entrance exams, 5th place. Seal Uranus. Yes, a girl with short-cut red hair stands up. Her long, healthy legs stretch out from the short skirt of her school uniform. Her face is cheerful, and she is one of the main heroines. Seal Uranus is the daughter of a local nobleman who owns a territory in a remote part of Slayer's kingdom and is Leon's childhood friend. She is a curious girl and has been playing in the villages of the territory since she was a child, sneaking out of her house. Seal is the one who encouraged Leon to enter the academy. Her initial job is a sorcerer. She is a rearguard who specializes in offensive magic. 4th place. Nagisa Sake. The next person to stand up was a girl with black hair tied in a ponytail. She stands with a straight back and a dignified posture. Her strong-willed, crisp face seems to be more popular among girls than boys. She is also one of the main heroines. Nagisa Seikai is a foreign student from the Far East. Her home country is a country with a culture similar to that of Japan, and she is a samurai girl who grew up as a daughter of a swordsmith's dojo. Her initial job is swordsman. She mainly uses katana as her weapon and is a speed warrior who is faster than Leon. Nagisa came to study in this country with complicated circumstances, and she has a deep darkness in her heart. The key to winning Nagisa is to clear the darkness from her heart. 3rd places, Eris Centaurea. Yes, the last main heroine stood up neatly. With her golden fluffy hair flowing down her back in waves, she looks like a daughter of a noble family. Her behavior of simply standing up when her name was called showed her good upbringing, and the students around her gaped at her with bated breath. Eris Centaurea was also an aristocratic daughter like Seal, but while Seal came from a local noble family, Eris was born in a central noble family. Her father was a cardinal in the court, a position in charge of the church, and Eris was also a cleric in her early life. She has a beautiful face and the biggest breasts among all the characters in the series. She was a perfect, beautiful girl who charmed the people around her with her full body and her voluptuous style. There are many female characters in Done Brave, but these 3 are the main heroines who are deeply involved in the scenario. Together with the hero Leon Brave, they defeated the Demon King. And then, They were the poor victims who were corrupted in mind and body by the villain Zenon Baskerville. Phew, fortunately, that future is gone. Now that I am Zenon, I will not allow any NTR plot to develop. I will improve the scenario by avoiding all depressing developments and create a real happy ending that I could not see in the game. Second places, Zenon Baskerville, the second runner-up in the grade. I'm lost in thought when I hear my name called and my eyes go black and white. I forgot even the simple task of standing up when my name was called and sat there with my arms and legs crossed in an arrogant posture. Chapter 5, The Suffering of Villainous Faces. It took me a few seconds to realize what I had done. By the time I realized it, it was already too late. The students start to murmur as Zenon Baskerville doesn't seem to be getting up. At first, the new students didn't seem to know who Zenon Baskerville was, but it seems that one of them knew my face. Following this student's gazes, the other students' gazes were immediately drawn to me. In addition, the seats around me were empty as if specially arranged, and thus I was the target of their gaze. And the buzz was only getting louder. Baskerville, that evil nobleman. Yes, it's rumored to have assassinated the previous king. The crime guild, oh I see. I heard that they are in contact with a neighboring country. There was even some whispering among the new students. There were even some bad rumors I didn't remember, and the stares I received were a mixture of fear and loathing. This is not good. I've made a bad impression on the new students. I try to stand up impatiently with my face scrunched up. But before I could do so, the teacher who was hosting the meeting sighed. Good grief, it really can't be helped. The old teacher stares at me with monocle-encrusted eyes. Zenon Baskerville, I understand your frustration with the results of the entrance exam and your position as runner-up. As the successor of a high-ranking nobleman, your determination to reach the top of your class is commendable. But this is the Royal Swords and Magic Academy, a school where both nobles and commoners are treated fairly. We do not give special treatment to anyone because of his or her birth. Even if you are a member of the Marquis family, I ask you to refrain from any disrespectful behavior on school. Wait, that's not it. I just missed the timing to get up. I mean, I never took the entrance exam in the first place. So how can I be satisfied or dissatisfied with the result of a test I didn't take? And I am not being rebellious in the slightest. Well, what's going on? I could stand up as the teacher instructed, but that would be too pathetic, wouldn't it? I'm not trying to look good, but if I give in too easily and get humiliated, I might be bullied in my future life in the school. I would like to avoid such a situation. For the time being, shall I apologize to him while sitting down and see his reaction? I apologize for this. I will take your advice to heart. I bowed lightly in my chair. I wonder why it's so quiet. I might have been a bit cocky, but I have apologized to him. I hope my reputation has been saved, and they can let me go and move on. I see. You mean you don't intend to restrain your rebellious attitude? The old teacher looks as if he's biting a bitter bug. No. I'm not disobeying you. I've already apologized to you. Please check the context again. But is it because of this villainous face, or is it the aura of my sulky attitude? It seems that the teacher and the students around me took it that I was rebelling against the teacher. Why is this happening to me when I really feel sorry, not to mention my face? Despite my confusion, the teacher gave a heavy sigh. It's all right. Let's not pursue the matter any further, since today is an auspicious occasion. If you don't show any improvement in your attitude, who knows what will happen to you? Now, we'll continue with the top students. What have I done? Is it such a crime to be delayed in getting up by accident? In the first place, I'm not yet accustomed to being called by the name of Zenon Baskerville. It's no wonder I can't react quickly. While I am being beaten down by such irrationality, the name of the last student with the highest grade, the first place of the class, is read out. First place in the entrance examination. First in the entrance exam, Leon Brave. Yes. A boy stands up with a cheerful reply that seems to dispel the atmosphere of the previous moment's awkwardness. The boy stood up with his quirky silver hair. He is the hero of Dunbrave and the descendant of a hero, Leon Brave. Chapter 6, Declaration of War by the Hero. Leon Brave. The descendant of a hero, he is the one and only hero with the power to seal the Demon King. Although he was born as a commoner, not a nobleman, He is a handsome, silver-haired boy with an excellent academic record and will be loved by many heroines. His initial job is a rune knight, a chosen profession that allows him to use both melee combat and magic. It is a job that only 1 in several million people can have, and only 2 appeared in the game. Oh, I let out an exclamation as Leon Brave stood up from his chair. The hero of the game I had played so many times was standing right in front of me. It was like meeting a Hollywood star in town. However, while I was shaking with joy, Leon looked back at me for a moment and said, "Kich," and glared at me with a strong gaze. Did he glare at me by any chance? I haven't slept with the heroine yet, and there's no reason for him to hate me. Come to think of it, Leon has a very strong sense of justice and hates crookedness. I wonder if he didn't like the rebellious attitude I had unintentionally shown earlier, which disturbed the atmosphere. Well then, brave Kun. As a representative of the new students, please give your speech. Yes, Leon quickly turned his attention back to the front and walked up to the podium. Then, he looked around at the new students standing in line and opened his mouth. It is a great honor for me to be here today as a representative of the new students of the prestigious Royal Swords and Magic Academy. Leon's tone is clear. Probably, he had heard in advance that he was going to deliver a speech as a representative and had thought about the content of his speech. In the game, this part of the speech was cut out. I listened carefully to what Leon is going to say. I am a commoner born in the countryside, and I am not a person who can stand here by nature. I am standing here thanks to my friend who helped me with my studies and Count Uranus who became my guardian. First of all, I would like to thank all the people who have helped me and my parents. I would also like to express my gratitude and greetings to the faculty members and seniors who will be my friends from now on. That's an auspicious list of words. I don't know what kind of speech he would give at such an event, but perhaps Leon's speech is a safe one. There's nothing noteworthy about it. He's the hero of a video game. I was expecting him to say something out of the ordinary like, "I will become a hero king," since he is the hero of the game, but I was disappointed. However, Leon's next words caught me by surprise. The reason I entered this school is to become strong and protect this country. Slayer's kingdom is a peaceful country without war, but it is not without evil to hate. I will become strong in this school and fight against the evil that torments people. For example, even if they are my classmates who go to the same school. A sudden turn of events from a common speech. Outrageous declarations came out of his mouth. On top of that, Leon stood on the stage, and his eyes were completely locked on me. His strong-willed eyes attracted all the gazes of the people in the auditorium to me. Hey, is this for real? No, why am I being exposed? Even though I'm a rare villain, I haven't done anything wrong yet. I tried desperately to grasp the situation, trying to keep my face tight so that my expression doesn't become tight. Why did Leon make such a declaration? Is it possible that Leon is a reincarnated person just like me? The possibility is not zero, but it doesn't seem to fit. It doesn't seem to be right. If Leon is a reincarnated person with knowledge of games, Zenon Baskerville is an opponent he should be wary of along with the Demon King. He should not say or do anything that would alarm me unnecessarily. No way has the game's scenario already changed. I've only just been reincarnated into this world. I'm not sure that my actions have caused any changes. Could it be that? I come up with one possibility. Dunbrave, too, is a negative product of the staff's despair and outburst due to problems with women. Therefore, the content of Dunbrave 2 is quite different from that of the first one. For example, in Dunbrave 1, Zenon Baskerville is a character who appears only by name as the runner-up in the grade. Although he was the second highest achiever in his grade, he was treated as a background character without even an illustration, let alone a mob, and he did not even have a conversation with the hero or the heroine. However, in the sequel, he was suddenly thrust into the limelight and promoted to the role of a villainous protagonist. Perhaps, no, certainly, it was not the original plan or setting that the staff had in mind at the beginning. In the original setting, Zenon Baskerville was neither a villain nor a protagonist, and the Baskerville family must have been an afterthought. The original setting of Dunbrave 1 and the later setting of Dunbrave 2 were forcibly combined, and as a result, the worldview of Dunbrave 1 may have been altered as well. I grit my back teeth and get a scowl on my face. If my guess is right, I don't know how much I can rely on my knowledge of the game. Come to think of it, the PC version and the video game version of the same Done Brave are slightly different, and the story is slightly different depending on the patches and additional paid scenarios. Even if I stay out of the events of the game, there is no guarantee that the story will go on as planned, and that Leon will defeat the Demon King and have a happy ending. Even if Zenon does not sleep with the heroine, there is a possibility that the hero will be defeated by the Demon King and the world will be destroyed. Ah, brave Kun. It's very good that you make an effort to compete with students of the same school, but don't take it too far. The teacher moderating the meeting softly chided Leon and urged him to return to his seat. Leon finished his speech, or rather, his oration, and glared at me one last time before returning to his chair. Now, I would like to introduce you to the teachers who will be your instructors for the next 3 years. From there, the entrance ceremony went on without a hitch, but I couldn't hear a word of it. A gloomy vision of the future. I realized that the future might lead to my doom, and I kept thinking about what I should do from now on. In the end, there was no clear answer until the very end. The dark and gloomy entrance ceremony came to an end with a depressed and gloomy feeling. Chapter 7. Return to home under dark feeling. After the entrance ceremony, the new students were taken to the classrooms for orientation. New students are assigned to classes from A to E according to their grades in the entrance examination. As the runner-up, I was naturally placed in Class A. I was put in the same class as Leon and the other heroines. The orientation consisted of an explanation of the school's facilities, the class curriculum, and the schedule for the year. I take a seat at the back of the class and look at the female teacher standing in front of the blackboard with a depressed look in my eyes. In the end, I could not come up with any good ideas about my future prospects, even after thinking about it until after the entrance ceremony. The scenario has changed, so game knowledge is not necessarily useful. I have to do my best to survive. However, if I act badly, I might interfere with Leon, who is a brave man and might hinder the defeat of the Demon King. I had to make an effort to survive and live a peaceful school life while trying not to interfere with Leon. The surest way is to befriend Leon and support him in defeating the Demon King. Zenon Baskerville is the strongest character except for the hero and the Demon King. If he joins the hero's party, he will be the best of the best. But I guess that's impossible. I glanced at a seat a short distance away and was met with a hostile stare. Leon was sitting there, and whenever our gazes met, he raised his eyes as if to avenge his parents' death. It's nonsense, what have I done? I sighed for what seemed like the umpteenth time and looked back forward. Leon clearly sees me as an enemy, and there is no way I can make peace with him and join him. The option of cooperating with him to defeat the Demon Lord is gone. Okay, this is the end of the orientation. Do you have any questions? The female teacher in charge of Class A finishes her speech and raises her silver-rimmed glasses with a flick of her fingertips. The teacher in the suit looks serious, but in Done Brave too, she is a sub-heroine who is raped by Zenon, collared, and made to walk around the city like a dog. The female teacher, who is called Wenko-sensei by some fans, is just a normal, serious-looking teacher before the training. But I couldn't look at her directly when I thought of the future that might have been. Okay, you are dismissed from the school today. If you are going to visit the clubs, please be careful not to stay too late. Now, goodbye. The first day of school life came to an end with Wenko-sensei's greeting. Classmates begin to discuss club visits and social gatherings with their new friends in cheerful voices. Leon also gets up from his chair and starts a conversation with Seal, his childhood heroine. Sigh. Of course, none of my classmates come up to me. I'm a loner. There is actually a social gathering event to be held later, but from the looks of things, I don't think I'll be invited to it. It is better to leave quickly than to be left alone in the classroom, so I grab my bag and stand up. After returning to the school gate, I get into the Baskerville family carriage that is waiting for me and head for home. It seems that I have been isolated since the beginning of my school life, but it can't be helped. I have heard that most of people's likes and dislikes are determined by the first impression they make within a few seconds of meeting each other. In my case, I have a face like a villain. On top of that, I belong to a family of bad nobles who are known throughout the kingdom. there is no way to make a good first impression. If someone doesn't judge a person by his/her looks or family background, he/she might be a good friend. But such people are surprisingly few in Japan and in the game world. I thought about approaching them, but in my case, they shrink away just by approaching me. What on earth should I do? Well, it is all right. Let's just go home and make a plan for the future. I mumbled an excuse and leaned my weight against the back of the carriage. After about 10 minutes of rocking in the carriage, it seems that I have arrived at the mansion, and the carriage comes to a stop. From outside, a man opened the door for me. "Welcome home, young Master Zenon." Whoa. As soon as I got off the carriage, a woman in a maid's uniform rushed to me. It is Leviana, Zenon's personal maid. She came out of the mansion too early. Did she wait for me at the gate? Hey, how long have you been there? Even though it's early spring, it's windy today. Don't worry about me, more importantly, Master is waiting for you. He asked you to come to his office immediately. Master. It took me a few seconds to figure out who she meant. And there's only one person in this house who's called that. The head of the Baskerville family, Garandolph Baskerville. I mumble the name dubiously. The man is Zenon's father, the name of the evil mastermind who rules the night in Slayer's kingdom. A villain who also appears in the game. I remember the man who caused Zenon Baskerville to fall into the path of evil, and my face grows bitter as ever. Chapter 8. Chain of Punishment. Zenon's father, Garandolph Baskerville, is another character who appears in Dunbrave too. However, he only appears in a few scenes, including a few conversations with Zenon. However, his infamy is known to everyone living in this country, from the nobility to the common people. The leader of the underworld. A master of the crime guilds, the leader who has nearly 1,000 gangsters under his control, a profiteer who kidnaps innocent people and sells them into slavery, a killer who has many assassins in his brood and who keeps everyone he doesn't like in the dark. Just from the information in the game, it is clear that Garandorf is a villain of the highest order. He was the first person whom I would not like to meet if I could, but no matter how much I might not want to have anything to do with him, he is still Zenon's father. So there was no way I could ignore him. I had no choice but to walk up to Garandolph's office and knock on the door. "Come in." A short response comes from inside. It was a deep, austere voice. I let out a deep breath and turned the doorknob. "Excuse me, Father Chichiu." Bloody chain. What the? As soon as I step into the room, black chains extend out from under my feet, restraining me. The chains restrain my limbs, and the pain is so strong that it feels as if a needle has pierced through my body. It's been a long time. My son. I looked up, lying on the carpet on the floor, and saw a mature man in a black suit looking down at me. His black hair was pulled back in an all-back style, and his face was deeply chiseled, and his eyes were cold as if frozen. There are scars around his eyes like sword wounds, and I can feel by the air that he has been through an extraordinary hardship. This man is Garandolph Baskerville. He is the leader of evil, Big Father, who rules the night in Slayer's kingdom. Father, what are you d? The chains are still sending out intense pain. This magic is called Bloody Chain. It's a kind of dark magic that restrains the opponent so that he/she can't move. The frightening thing about this spell is that it not only blocks the opponent's movement, but also inflicts continuous damage over time. If used in battle, it was a useful spell that could deal damage every turn while the enemy was immobilized, but when experienced on my own, it was like torture. I heard that today was the entrance ceremony of the school. My son. GGH? Garandorf looks down at me and speaks quietly. I let out a groan of pain and clench my grip on the thick carpet. I heard that you got second place on the entrance exam. And I heard you were runner-up in your class too. It hurts, help me. I'm deeply disappointed that you can't even be number one among the mere 200 new students at such a small school, even though you are the eldest son of the prestigious Baskerville family. Gah! Garandorf raises his leg and stomps on my torso. The blow is so hard that my breathing is choked, and I can no longer breathe properly. Stop it, ha. The Baskervilles are a powerful family that has ruled the Knights of Slayer's kingdom for generations. Whoever will be the head of the family must be the strongest. The word defeat is not an option for a male member of our family. You have disgraced the pride of the House of Baskerville. You fool! Forgive me. HMPH, ah gala. The room was filled with the sound of repeated blows. Garendorf kicks me again and again. He kicked me in the back, in the abdomen, in the face. When I couldn't even scream anymore, he finally seemed to have had enough and stopped. To think that you can't even move after a blow like this. You've really let me down, my son. My amusement is gone. If you can't take the top seat in the next exam, you won't get away with this. I will be away on business for a while. Listen carefully to the butler and keep up your training. When he has said all he has to say, Garendolf walks out of the room, leaving his son cowering in the room. Leviana, the maid, comes running into the office and jumps on my body. Young Master Zenon? Ah, you poor thing. Ugh, young Master Zenon, please pull yourself together. The binding spell had already been lifted, but the damage caused by my father's abuse had remained so deep in my body that I could not even look up. Leviana picks me up and holds me to her ample bosom. Young Master Zenon, I will heal you immediately. Just hold on a little longer. Leviana takes out a bottle of what looks like medicine and gives it to me. In my fading consciousness, I realize that it is a healing potion. I let go of the consciousness that had barely held me together as I felt my body fill with vitality from the pain that had taken over. Chapter 9. The root of all evil. I wonder how much time has passed since then. When I woke up, I was lying on the bed in my room. There was a blanket over my body, and Leviana was dozing on a chair beside the bed. It seems that she was nursing me at my bedside. She looks tired and asleep. Such a waste of a loyal subject for such a devilish cuckold. I don't know why such a good girl is working for a scum like Zenon. I raise my upper body from the bed, brushing up my black hair. I look toward the window, but it is already dark outside. I check my watch and see that it is already around midnight. Thanks to the potion that Leviana gave me, the damage to my body is gone. However, I feel a phantom pain as if there is a stake in the center of my body due to the abuse and torture that I have never suffered in my previous lives. I had no idea that Zenon's father, Garendolf Baskerville, could be so cruel and harsh to his son. I had thought that he was spoiling his son and letting him run wild since Zenon had been doing whatever he wanted in the game. But now I understand. I'm sure of it. I understand why Zenon has turned into a scum. I clutched at the chest of my clothes, biting my back teeth. If there was one person, aside from the game's production staff, who had caused Zenon to go down the wrong path, it was that man. Garendorf Baskerville, you've driven Zenon crazy. Probably, Zenon was abused by his father on a daily basis. The result of the accumulated abuse was a loss of mental balance, which led to the tyranny of humiliating Leon and stealing the heroine. Leon Brave was born into a chosen bloodline, the descendant of a hero, and was surrounded by many heroines who loved him. As the top student in his grade, he stands above Zenon in terms of academic achievement. Zenon, on the other hand, is hated by everyone around him because he was born into the Baskerville family, a family cursed beyond recognition. Zenon must have been a madly jealous partner for Leon, who was not loved by his father and was even abused by him. On top of that, Leon had defeated the Demon King and had become a hero who was admired by the people. He must have felt intense jealousy and hatred toward Leon, who possessed everything he did not have, everything he wanted so badly. As a result, Zenon has decided to cuckold Leon's heroine. I've decided. I have a goal for the time being in this world. It seems that there is someone I have to defeat before the Demon King. I nodded my head decisively. Until now, I had been puzzled by the fact that I had suddenly been reborn in a game world, and had only vaguely thought that I wanted to lead a peaceful life. But now I have a firm purpose. To defeat Garendolf, to defeat my father. In order for me to have peace in this world, that man is an irreconcilable enemy who must not exist. I say these words with strong determination. Defeat the Demon King, save the world, rather than such a great achievement, this goal seemed more important to me. I don't know how I lost my life in my previous life and was reborn in the game world. But now that I am reborn, I will live freely and enjoy this world. For that, I'll deny the scenario set by the production staff and even my father, the leader of evil. Yon young Masquerade. Leviana? I had decided on a second goal in life, but it seems I was talking to myself too loudly. Leviana woke up soon after and hugged me, and the strength of her embrace suffocated me, causing me to pass out again. It is needless to explain that Leviana became more and more panicked when she saw me fainting. Chapter 10, The Way to the Strong. With the goal of defeating Garandolf Baskerville, the father and evil leader of the Slayer's kingdom, I started my activities the next day. The first thing to do was to check my knowledge of the game. On a piece of paper, I write down all the scenarios and events that are going to happen and how to get important items. I write them in Japanese just in case they are seen by the people in the mansion. I wrote as much as I could remember about the game, and it ended up in more than a dozen pages. Okay, it's done. That's about all. The next thing to think about is future goals. How will I live in this world? This body was taken from Zenon Baskerville unintentionally, but it is still my body. I do not intend to give it back, and I do not know how to give it back. Then, I will live out my life as Zenon Baskerville. That much I had clearly decided. I've been reborn into the world of Dunbrave in any way I can. I want to live freely. To do so, the one who must be conquered is still the Father, the ruler of darkness. As long as that evil mastermind exists, Zenon will never be free. If Garandolf Baskerville is not defeated, I will remain under the control of the great evil for the rest of my life. There is a possibility that I could abandon my home and go into exile in another country, but there is no guarantee that I can escape from Garandolf, who has a large number of gangsters and assassins. Moreover, such a course of action would completely deviate from the scenario of Dunbrave, and I would not know what Leon would do. I hope the Demon King is sealed according to the scenario. If Leon is defeated by the Demon King, the world will be destroyed. Then I cannot escape to another country. So, it is necessary to be in a place where I can interfere with the scenario when the time comes. Whether I'm going to defeat my father or fight the Demon King, either way, I'll have to become stronger. The Baskervilles are a family that values strength over weakness. If I can surpass my father's power, none of his servants or men will complain. They will not seek to avenge Garandolf. Now, when I think about what I should do to become stronger, the first thing that comes to mind is to learn and develop skills. Dunbrave is a game in which the level system does not exist, which is unusual for an RPG. Instead, there is a proficiency level for each acquired skill, and by raising this level, the player can grow stronger. Zenon Baskerville has initially mastered 2 combat skills, swordsmanship and dark magic. Other than combat skills, he has also learned training, a skill to entrap women, but I hope I will never have a chance to use this skill. Status: Zenon Baskerville. Job: Rune Knight. Skills: swordsmanship 20. Dark magic 20. Training 20. I mumble, and a square screen appears in front of me. It shows Zenon Baskerville's occupation and the skills he possesses. Unlike the game's status screen, commands such as item, settings, save, and load were missing. The skill level of the combat skill is 20, the maximum value is 100, so there is still plenty of room for growth. In order to become stronger, I must master skills and increase one's proficiency. If a particular skill is raised to a certain level, it opens the way to change from an initial job to a more powerful higher-level job. And I also have to get items. As promised in RPGs, I can increase my abilities by equipping strong weapons and armor. I can even learn new skills and magic by using certain items. Strong weapons and armor, accessories, and charms to reduce damage, etc. There are many items to keep. I can get items by buying them in stores or by diving in dungeons and getting them by myself. I can get them as rewards by completing events, but rare items can only be bought at auctions, not at stores. This requires a huge amount of money. As for dungeons, items appear at random and are left to luck with the exception of important fixed items. Thus, game knowledge is of no use. Should I give away as many items as possible to Leon that I can get from events? I don't want him to lose to the Demon King if I take too many items. I don't intend to comply with the scenario now, but that doesn't mean that I should avoid disturbing Leon. No matter how much I defeat Garandolf, the game is over if the Demon King destroys the world. Events that involve Leon and heroines should be avoided as much as possible so as not to interfere. Like a cuckolding event is a no-no. May I come in, young Master Zenon? As I was thinking about this, there was a modest knock at the door of the room. and a familiar female voice echoes from the other side of the door. "Ah, come in. Excuse me, your morning meal is here." Opening the door and entering the room was Leviana, my personal maid. Leviana was pushing a silver cart with a plate of food on it. "I thought you might be having a hard time today, so I brought it here for you. Have you eaten yet? My body is fine, but I was just getting hungry." "Thank you. I'm glad to hear it. Please enjoy your meal." Leviana began to prepare the meal on the table in the room with a smile. Then, I turned my attention to the plates of food, hiding the paper with my future plans. In the game of Done Brave, food is also treated as an item with healing and support effects. The meal on the table consisted of a sandwich and corn soup, and coffee. The sandwich and corn soup were supposed to restore strength, and the coffee was supposed to heal the patient's condition, respectively. Although the damage done by Garandolf last night had been healed, the food showed Leviana's care and attention. "It looks delicious. Thank you." "Ah no, as a servant, I did what I had to do. There's no need for you to thank me, young master. But I still want to thank you. Really, thank you so much. Ooh." When I thanked her again, Leviana suddenly slumped down, holding her face. A small drip fell to the floor, a red liquid. It was blood. "What? Excuse me? I'll come back later to collect the plate." Leviana left the room with her face covered with her hands, leaving a small blood stain on the floor of the room. Is it possible she got so excited at my thanking her that her nose started bleeding? It's scary. Very scary. I wonder how much that maid loves Zenon, just like she cried yesterday. Zenon definitely had allies. There was no need for him to go crazy and sleep with someone else's girl. I blurted out as I touched the food on the table. Section. After eating, I change into my school uniform and leave the room. I was mistreated by Garandolf yesterday, but I don't care about that, I have school today. I head straight for the front door, but a big figure stands in front of me. "Good morning, Zenon-sama." "Ah, Zeus-huh." An elderly man in a butler's uniform was waiting for me in the corridor. His name is Zeus Urin. He is a butler in the service of the Baskerville family and is in charge of the house. He has a romance gray all-back hair and a Kaiser mustache. He wears single-lens glasses over his left eye. His posture with a straight back is ideal for a servant, and he looks like a capable butler. However, unbalanced from the neck down, he is muscular like a professional wrestler, so muscular that he looks as if he could snap a human neck with his bare hands. His tightly fitted butler's suit is so ripped off by his muscles that the buttons look as if they are about to burst into 1,000 pieces and fly off. The appearance of the man who is Garandolf's close associate makes me open my mouth in alarm. "What do you want? If things are going too slowly, I'm going to be late for school. I'm sorry to take up so much of your time before school. I was just wondering if you weren't training in the yard this morning, and if you weren't feeling well. Morning exercises are voluntary. Sometimes I don't feel like it. And to top it off, I was tortured by my father yesterday. It was no time for training." I answered bluntly and tried to slip past him, but Zeus quickly shifted his body to block the way again. "Master wants Zenon-sama to grow up and become a strong man worthy of the Baskerville family. If Zenon-sama neglects his training, I will have to report it to Master." "Heh, you mean if I'm slacking off, my father will come home and punish me again like he did yesterday? That's a very educated thing to do." Garandolf, Zenon's father, is away most of the year and rarely comes back to the mansion. The only time he comes home is to punish Zenon, as he did yesterday. His mother is unknown. It seems that he is the child of one of Garandolf's mistresses, but Zenon's mother does not appear in the game. Thus, Zenon does not have parents who are devoted to his education. Master expects a lot from Zenon-sama. Please don't let him down. Zeus rebukes me with an annoyed look on his face. HMPH. But I sniffed and slipped past Zeus this time. This time the big butler does not block my path and gives way quietly. Just as I was about to walk straight to the front door, I suddenly thought of something and turned around. I'm afraid I'm going to miss some training in the future, but don't worry. I'll make sure I live up to my father's expectations. Well, do you have any ideas on how to become stronger? Swinging isn't the only way to get stronger. I'm going to get stronger in my own way, so much so that I'll knock my father's head off. With these words of abandon, I quickly leave the place. I felt the butler's eyes on my back, but I resolved once again to become strong enough to surpass Garandolf. Chapter 11, The First Dungeon. It's been a week since I was reborn in this world and became Zenon Baskerville, determined to surpass his father. Since then, school life has been uneventful. Leon still gave off an aura of being difficult, but I did not intend to get actively involved in his lives. And he never spoke to me too. The other classmates also kept a certain distance from me and gave me frightened glances. The life was the same as at the time of the entrance ceremony, lonely. Leaving aside the main character, the classes themselves are not so difficult. For example, mathematics classes are at the level of Japanese middle school students and are not so difficult. I thought that memorizing subjects such as history would be a bottleneck, but strangely enough, those subjects are absorbed into my mind like a sponge soaking up water. Just as using magic is ingrained in the body, knowledge may have remained in Zenon's mind. While enjoying the feeling as if I had returned to my student days, I smoothly went through the classes, and soon the time of the class I had been waiting for came. It is a practical subject at the school dungeon exploration. Dungeons are the dens of countless monsters in this world, and are mysterious places where monsters and treasures naturally occur. One of them exists in the grounds of the school. It is called Sage Kenjin no Playground Isabiba, and is a dungeon that is used as a tutorial in the game. We will now begin the lesson of dungeon exploration. Everyone, please divide yourselves into the previously decided parties. Wanko-sense announced in a calm tone to the students assembled in front of the dungeon entrance. During the orientation, we were informed in advance that we would be exploring the dungeon in class and that we should decide on our party. The maximum number of party members is 4. It has already been a week since I entered the school, and the majority of the classmates have formed a party of 3 or 4 members. With a few exceptions, then each party will take a turn to enter the dungeon. The one who is not in a party with anyone. Wanko-sensei glanced at me. I was a lonely boy among my classmates, and naturally, I was the only one in the class. Well, I was not allowed to join anyone's party. I could have easily made it through the tutorial dungeon by myself, but for some reason, the corner of my eyes started to burn a little. I don't mind. I'm alone enough. I don't have a problem with it either. It seems that I wasn't the only one. Nagisa Seikai, one of the 3 main heroines, was also standing alone without joining any party. Nagisa, a sword girl, came to her to study for a certain reason, but at first she distrusted people and hardly interacted with her classmates. Later, Leon saves her life, and she becomes a friend and opens her heart to the people around her, but that is yet to come. It is too risky to explore solo. It's your first dungeon, and if you two have extra time, why don't you team up? No, thank you. It's not necessary. Nagisa and I assure each other at the same time. I want to minimize contact with Nagisa, the main heroine, so as not to disturb Leon. After all, I did not intend to raise the cuckold flag for no reason. Wanko-sensei puts her finger on her brow as if she is trying to hold back a headache. I understand. There are no dangerous monsters in this dungeon, but you are on your own no matter what happens in the dungeon. The school will not take any responsibility even if you lose your life. Wanko-sensei shook her head in exasperation and clapped her hands as if to regain her composure. All right then, please begin your exploration in turn. 10 minutes after the previous party has entered, the next party will start the exploration. Make sure to bring back the collected items and materials of the monsters you found. The guild will not buy them back from you like in other dungeons, but they will be reflected in your score. Okay, let's start with us. Wait a minute, we have to go first. After Wanko-sensei's explanation, my classmates begin to argue over the order in which to enter the dungeon. This was not the case in the game, but it seems that everyone is eager to get into the dungeon as soon as possible. The teacher should have decided the order, but Wanko-sensei, perhaps respecting the students' autonomy, is watching the students' argument from a little distance. You're so casual about it, like you're going out to play. We're about to enter a dangerous place, you fool. Oh, while I was watching the argument out of the corner of my eye, for some reason, Nagisa started talking to me. I couldn't help but raise my eyebrows at the beautiful black-haired girl with a cool look on her face. I'm surprised. This is the first time a classmate has talked to me. I don't blame you. You've got a very evil look on your face. I'm sure everyone's scared of you. I'm sorry to hear that, so what can I do for you? I asked cautiously. Nagisa sniffs coolly. You seem to be the only one who wasn't busy. Please tell the others. If no one decides who will go first, I, Nagisa Sekai, will take the lead. Oh, come on, you're trying to outsmart me. You have a surprisingly good personality. Well then, I'm entering. Without waiting for my reply, Nagisa turned her back on me as if she were done talking. Without hesitation, she steps into the dungeon. The other students protest her flying out of order. Hey, wait a minute, that's not fair, is it? Hey, wait for me. Ignoring the words of warning slammed into her back, Nagisa disappeared into the dungeon. Apparently, there was someone in the class who was even more uncoordinated than I was. I shrugged my shoulders and raised my voice to my classmates. You guys are wasting my time because you won't make a decision, right? Just decide it now with rock, paper, scissors, or whatever. It's getting dark. Apparently, my villainous face has taken effect, and my classmates stopped their sterile argument. After that, it became a rock, paper, scissors fight among the party representatives. Exactly 10 minutes after Nagisa began her exploration, Leon and Seal, who had won the rock, paper, scissors, entered the dungeon. The party that was left behind is waiting for the time to pass in frustration. I, who did not participate in the rock, paper, scissors tournament, naturally ended up in the last row. As I was waiting at the end of the line with my arms crossed, Wenko-sensei came up to me. I was surprised. You seem to have surprising leadership skills, Baskerville-kun. I'm impressed. You don't know me at all. Sensei. I responded to Wenko-sensei, who spoke to me with a snort. HMPH. It seems that everyone in the class is distancing themselves from Baskerville-kun because of your face and family background, but I guess I was the same way. As a teacher, I have to reflect on this, but more importantly, was Baskerville-kun the last one to go? It seems that you didn't even participate in the order. The order is not important, by the way, sensei. I'd like to confirm one thing. What is it? I asked Wenko-sensei, who tilted her head, what I needed to know. Items and treasures I get in the dungeon are supposed to be taxed by the government and the guilds. But are the items in this dungeon also subject to the tax? No, this is just a part of the lesson, and this is a dungeon managed by the school, so there is no tax. Wenko-sensei quickly pushes up the middle rim of her glasses with her finger and smiles coolly. However, the items you can get here are only worth a few bucks even if you sell them at a store, so you won't get any money out of them. But there are no strong monsters here, so there are few deaths. I am relieved to hear that. I guess I'll just have to work hard to find the right items. I appreciate your motivation, but you're not part of any party. If you feel you are in danger, please turn around and go back. Your concern. I appreciate it. Wenko-sensei is always concerned about me, even though I'm a person who is not well liked. I truly think she is a good teacher. And she's solid. She is not the kind of woman who would be trained in a basement and turned into a dog in a game. Soon, the last group disappears into the dungeon. After making sure that no one is left except myself and Wenko-sensei, I step into the stairway that leads to the labyrinth. Chapter 12, Self-Sacrifice. Well then, I entered the dungeon and took a quick look around the entrance area. The tutorial dungeon Sage's Playground is a cave-like structure with a stone floor that leads to the lower floor and marble pillars on the left and right sides. The walls are hung with torches, so there is no need for a light source. Since 39 classmates have already passed by, the treasure chests and other items along the way have already been removed. The only thing that appears is a monster that pops up as time passes. Dark Edge. Picky Eye, a slime-like monster appears in front of me, and I cast a spell on it. The slime melts into mush and flows on the ground. All that is left is a small light blue stone, the material item slime nucleus. The structure of the dungeon and the drop items are just like in the game. It's a piece of cake. Being a tutorial only, there are no powerful monsters or traps here. It is a dungeon that can be conquered solo with ease. I quickly find a staircase that leads to the second floor and descend to the next floor. I encounter a few monsters along the way, but Zenon is second only to Leon in power. None of the monsters I encounter in this dungeon is a formidable opponent. At least. Except for that monster at the lowest floor. More and more of my classmates are getting injured. I was calm and composed as I went through the dungeon, but it seemed to be not so for the other students. As I advanced to the second and third floors, I saw some of my classmates resting on the edge of the path. Most of them seemed to have minor and not life-threatening injuries, and the ones who were not injured were giving them first aid with potions and healing spells. They're pathetic against small fry, or maybe it's just because they're amateurs who have never dived in a dungeon before. I know the game, and I'm using the body of a high-spec character named Zenon Baskerville. But most of the other students are complete beginners who have never even fought a monster before. They may even screw up in their first real battle. Come to think of it, in the game, Leon, Nagisa, and Seal were the only 3 who made it to the lowest floor the first time. Except for Leon and the heroine, there does not seem to be anyone of note in this class. It is a pity that they are in the top of class. Then, I should probably look at partners outside of the school. If I work with bad partners, I will be slowed down and my actions will be hindered instead. As I proceeded through the game, defeating monster, I saw Eris Centraire, one of the 3 main heroines of the game. More than 10 of her classmates are gathered around Eris, a healer, and they are being healed by magic. Yes, please line up in order. I will heal you properly. Ah, what wonderful healing magic. She is the saint of Centraire. She can heal so many people and not run out of magic. Eris healed her classmates with a calm expression on her face. The recipients of her healing magic, both men and women, looked at her with passionate eyes as if they were worshipping a god. She is a main heroine, and her face as she casts healing spells on her classmates is indeed beautiful. Her face is as merciful as an angel's, and her face is so divine that it pulls the soul out of body. I almost fell in love with her. I find myself fawning over Eris, and I slap my cheek in haste. Oh no. If I had stared at her just a little longer, I might have fallen in love with her. I might have awakened to be a cuckolding hero in order to win Eris from Leon. That would have led to a bad ending with the Demon King's resurrection. I forcefully tear my eyes away from Eris and try to move on. Oh, you are Baskerville-sama, aren't you? I tried to walk past her silently, but Eris called out to me. It was unnatural to ignore her at this point. So I turned my head back to Eris without any choice. That's right, you are Centaurea-san, the 3rd-place student in grade, aren't you? Yes, that's right. Baskerville-sama, the runner-up in grade, isn't it? Eris tilts her head with a gentle smile. And the surrounding classmates around her shrug their shoulders at the sudden appearance of the villain, but Eris does not seem intimidated. She looks at me from head to toe with the same benevolent eyes that she has for other classmates. I don't think you need healing magic, Baskerville-sama. It's quite impressive that you've made it this far on your own. It's only a practice dungeon after all. By the way, have you been doing this since a while ago? Of course. I can't leave my injured classmates unattended. Eris straightens her back and puts her palms on her chest as if it were natural. Her huge, dicey daisies sway, attracting the attention of the boys, but she does not seem to be bothered by it. That's very merciful of you. Don't you have to go on? I have the permission of my party mates. I thought it would be more worthwhile for everyone here to move forward one step at a time than for our party to reach the goal. Well, nice friendship, that's good to hear. Eris Centaurea is a remarkable woman, the incarnation of dedication and self-sacrifice. She is willing to sacrifice herself to help others. In the game, she sometimes gave up her own life to save someone in need. Her saintly attitude is admirable, but at the same time, it made me feel irritated while playing the game. She's still an irritating one, but she's not a bad girl, that's for sure. Many people may admire a devoted woman like Eris. But for me, people who try to help others at their own cost are rather irritating. Every human being has the right to be happy. To sacrifice oneself for the happiness of others and to give up the right to be happy is absurd. Well, it's not my job to tell her that. I'll leave it to the hero to lecture the saint. Is something the matter? No, I'm going to move on. Just don't help people too much, okay? With these words of abandon, I turn my back and walk deeper into the dungeon. It is not up to me to save the wounded Saint Eris Centaurea. It is Leon's job as the hero to save Eris and free her from the chains of self-sacrifice. At least, it is not the place of a villainous character. Baskerville is leaving in style. No way. I parted from Eris and went on, and soon found a staircase leading to the lower floor. This brings me to the 4th floor. The lowest floor, the 5th floor, is just around the corner. Chapter 13, Those Who Must Die. After reaching the 4th floor, I continue onward, defeating monsters as I go. The monsters that appear are still the same as before. I don't have any particular difficulty in dealing with them, and I just practice sword and magic. I had seen my classmates here and there up to the 3rd floor, but I don't see them anymore as I descend to this floor. It seems that most of my classmates have given up after the 3rd floor and turned back. At this rate, I should be able to get to the deepest floor soon. Leon is probably already there. I mutter to myself as I pick up the items dropped by the monsters I have killed and put them in my tool bag. My first dungeon exploration will soon come to an end. There is a strong enemy, boss, at the deepest part of the dungeon, but it must have been defeated by Leon, who has already entered the dungeon. It may seem a little unsatisfying, but this is the end of my first dungeon exploration. I was moving forward with light footsteps, not feeling particularly overwhelmed, when suddenly I heard a scream from the direction I was going. Shit, you son of a bitch, get back, or it'll kill you. I heard the screams of several men and women. None of the voices sounded familiar. As I advanced forward, suspiciously, I heard the sound of metal clashing against metal coming from the end of the dungeon. Is someone fighting? It sounds like someone is having a hard time. What is going on? I hide behind the wall, daring not to show myself, and spy on the battle going on in front of me. Damn, why is there such a strong enemy? Duck Jean, there was a fierce battle. A party of 4 is fighting against a single monster. 2 of the 4 had already fallen limp to the ground, and it was impossible to tell whether they were alive or dead. The swordsman and the magician are barely holding their own against the monster. The men and women of my classmates are fighting a winged humanoid monster. The monster stands on 2 legs, but it has a pointed beak on its face, and its body has a hard texture like a stone. The eyes of the monster look ferocious, with a sharp intent to kill and a sense of intimidation, and it is clearly not the kind of enemy one would encounter in a beginner's dungeon. The monster was an enemy known as a gargoyle in the game. The gargoyle swings its claws and attacks my classmates as it soars through the air in the cave. Arisa, you bastard. One of my classmates was resisting desperately, but the claws ripped her to pieces and she fell down on the ground. Soon a man with a sword rushes to his fallen comrade. Damn, how dare you? How dare you do this to Arisa? Jaya. Human kill? Human kill. The gargoyle utters a shrill voice as it easily dodges the man's counterattack. The torturous cry clearly shows that there is room for improvement, and it is only a matter of time before the rest of my classmates are defeated. I wrinkle my brow in thought as I watch this hopeless battle from my hiding place. Why is there a gargoyle here? I thought the fight with that thing was supposed to be at the lowest floor. The gargoyle is an original boss at the very end of the dungeon. The gargoyle is actually a servant of the Demon King, and has been hiding in this dungeon to kill the descendants of the heroes for the sake of the Demon King, who will be resurrected in the not-so-distant future. When Leon arrives at the deepest part of the dungeon, he is almost killed by the gargoyle, which has the goal of killing the descendants of the heroes. He fights with Seal and Nagisa, who rush to the dungeon with his party, and in the end, he defeats the gargoyle by awakening the power of the blood of the heroes. But before the gargoyle killed by Leon, it is supposed to run away somewhere. I forgot about that. After thinking about it, I finally arrived at the answer to my question. In the game, the information was only narrated, so I had forgotten about it. The gargoyle killed several of Leon's classmates whom it encountered on its way to escape from the dungeon. And now Leon's classmates are dead because he let his enemy escape. Leon bites his own weakness and becomes a flag to train himself further and grow up. So, these are the classmates who are killed. I mumbled with sympathy. They were mob characters whose names did not even appear in the game, but still, when I saw them forced to die as an event, I felt pity for them. In the game, I did not care so much about them, but now, they have their own lives, too. They have to be taken by surprise for the sake of the main character's growth, which is a miserable treatment when I think about it again. I don't know what to do. I don't think it's a good idea to help them. Hiding in the shadows, I furrow my brow and groan. For the hero, Leon Brave, to grow up to hate monsters and be a brave man, he needs his classmates to die here. For through their sacrifice, Leon vows to grow stronger as a brave warrior. If I give them a helping hand here, Leon's future of winning the Demon King and saving the world may be shaken again. I feel sorry for them, but I'll just have to let it pass. Don't think badly of me. I kept my eyes down and tried to leave the place gently, but as my back was about to leave, my classmate's weak voice came to me. No, run away, Jean. Run away, I'm not leaving without you. I can't do it anymore, so at least you. Damn it, you monster, get away from Arisea. A fallen magician woman is screaming to run away, and a swordsman is standing alone against a gargoyle to protect her. As I hear these voices, my legs naturally stop as I try to get away from this place. Jia die, human, GGGGH? The man's sword is knocked away by a sharp blow from the gargoyle. The man's life is over. He is in mortal danger. Jia Gbig? With a deafening laugh, the gargoyle tries to finish him off, but a black blade created by magic slashes its face. It's my dark magic that hit the monster in the face, just as I had intended. I knew it was no good. It seems I'm not cut out to be a villain. You're Baskerville. The man called Jean widened his eyes in surprise at the sight of me jumping out of the shadows and pointing his right hand at me. Come to think of it, someone who can't grow strong due to this kind of change in the scenario can't be called a brave man. Besides, if I abandon a scene like this, I'll become a real scum. Human, don't you dare give me any trouble for free. Don't think that I can get away with this for free. You make me laugh. The gargoyle emits an angry cry from its beak, but I snicker and draw my sword. Don't you dare bark at me like you're the boss character in the tutorial. I'm the greatest villain in the world, and even the hero is no match for me. If you think you can stand in front of me like a flimsy villain, you can die. Chapter 14, Big Stuff Kills. Kishaa, HMPH. A gargoyle flies in the air and swings its claws down at me, but I backstep to avoid the sharp claw strike and deliver a counter slash. The tip of my sword is precisely inserted into the gargoyle's torso, but it is bounced off with a sound as if it hits something hard. Jiajiak, it's useless, muta. Ah, I knew it. It's so annoying. Gargoyles' bodies are covered with scales as hard as rocks, and ordinary attacks cannot damage them and they are repelled. The strength of gargoyles is on the same level as that of the monsters encountered in the middle of the game. Leon and his companions miraculously defeated them by the power of the blood of the awakened heroes, but they are not opponents that can be defeated in a proper fight. And the same goes for me. I couldn't even put a scratch on him with my initial equipment, Nakakura's sword. Shadow Edge, Ga. The gargoyle lets out a short scream as it takes another slash from the flying blade. This is the same as in the game. Gargoyles have high physical defense, but low magic resistance. It seems that even low-level magic can do some damage. However, it's troublesome to cut it down with small tricks. Now, I can only use lower-level magic of the dark attribute. I will have to hit the gargoyle with dozens of shots to defeat it with this. If I had a companion, a tank as a shield would draw them away, and the rear guard could cut them down little by little with magic. But unfortunately, I am playing solo. I have no one to rely on. My classmate who is fighting the gargoyle Jean is healing his friends in the back, so I can't count on his support either. Then, I'll have to kill it all at once with a single critical blow. How dare you? Kill, MNH. The gargoyle spreads its wings wide. I backstep to get away from it, anticipating its next attack. The next moment, numerous shuriken-like feathers fly out from its wings and pierce a wide area. If I had escaped a little later, I would have turned into a hedgehog. A quick glance behind me shows that Jean and his friends are safe. They seem to be out of the range of the attackers because of the distance. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I know about that attack. I've seen it too many times. Wah! And I know your weakness. The gargoyle freezes in place after I dodge its ranged attack. It was a big move that caused it to freeze. I took the opportunity to jump into the opponent. Even if I slash at it with my sword, it is sure to be repelled by its scales as before. But still, I thrust the tip of my sword without hesitation, aiming at a single point. The gargoyle's weak point. HMPH, Jaya. The gargoyle let out a desperate scream. My thrust pierces under the gargoyle's jaw and goes through its neck. Every enemy character in Done Brave has a weak point, and attacking the weak point is treated as a critical hit. In the case of the gargoyle, only the lower part of its jaw was not covered by stone scales, and that part was its weak point. Ga. You bully the weak to get revenge for being beaten by a hero, and when you fail even to do so, you are killed by a lower-ranked opponent. It must be very humiliating for you. Event boss. Damn you, human. Hellfire, my attack is not over yet. I'll use the most powerful magic I can muster right now. Jet black flames pour out into the wound, searing the gargoyle's flesh from the inside out. There are various jobs in this game, but the strongest among the initial jobs is, without a doubt, the Rune Knight. Jaya. And there are only 2 characters who have Rune Knight job. Leon, the main character, and Zenon Baskerville. Only me, the strongest except for the hero and the king. There is no way that Zenon Baskerville, the dark swordsman, the opposite of Leon, the light swordsman, can't defeat such an early boss. G.I. The gargoyle, engulfed in jet black flames, was flailing about, waving its hands and wings, but its resistance was too feeble. After a while, the gargoyle collapses helplessly, and its entire body is engulfed in flames. G.I. The gargoyle, which had been twitching and convulsing repeatedly, eventually stopped moving. Its body crumbled into particles and dissolved into the air, leaving only the magic stone as a drop item. For the first time since I came to this world, I've had a proper battle. I've won. With a declaration of victory, I spun my sword around and struck a determined pose. I completely conquered a superior event boss in my first dungeon. It was a perfect achievement for the start of my new life in the other world. But I do not know how defeating the event monster, the gargoyle, will affect the scenario. But for now, let's just rejoice in this victory. I have saved a life that should have died for sure. Chapter 15. My first school friend. Well then, after defeating the gargoyle and collecting the magic stone as a drop item, I looked back at my classmates behind me. The man called Jean was healing his friends. All 3 of them were unconscious, including Arisa, who seemed to be his girlfriend. Arisa is in particularly bad shape. Her chest is bleeding and her face is pale from the loss of blood. Are you all right? Oh, I'm sorry, Baskerville. Thank you. Jean, who was treating his friends, turns to me and bows his head lightly. He immediately turns back to his friends and resumes first aid. It seems that the wounds of his companions are too deep to be treated with only the healing medicine he has on hand. I take out several bottles of potions from my toolbox and place them beside Jean. You can use them, don't you need them? Are you sure? I don't have any money. It doesn't matter. It's a cheap one anyway, so don't worry about it. Jean looks at me hesitantly for a moment, alternating between my face and the potion, but soon puts the lives of his companions ahead of his own and proceeds to give them the potion. Their wounds, which had knocked them unconscious, disappear in a green recovery effect. Their color improves and they will wake up soon. You look okay. It's good to see you all alive. Sorry, Baskerville. Thank you so much. After confirming that his friends were safe, Jean turned his body toward me and bowed deeply. I responded with a light wave of my hand. Don't worry about it. We are classmates after all. It's only natural. I see, thank you so much. And thanks for the medicine, but also for defeating that crazy enemy. Jean looks at the place where the gargoyle had been a moment ago, his face contorted in vexation. I didn't know there were such strong monsters in this dungeon. I didn't mean to be so careless. That monster is probably an anomaly. Don't worry about it. And yet, my friends were injured because I, the leader, was not good enough. Damn. Jean spat in frustration as he hit the ground. Apparently, this man has a strong sense of responsibility. He seems to feel a heavy responsibility for the injuries of his comrades. He is an honest man. It would be a shame to leave him in the mob. If you feel responsible, you should be strong. Next time, be strong enough to protect your friends. I didn't know what to say to him at a time like this, but I said the usual words of comfort. It may not have been a witty comfort, but it brought a slight smile back to Jean's face. Yes, be strong. Like Baskerville, I must be strong. You don't have to follow my example, though you have a long school life. Just do your best. Yeah, thanks, and I'm really sorry. Jean looks mysterious and says sorry for what seems like the umpteenth time. I already heard you say thank you, didn't I? Enough of your pestering. It's not that, I guess I misunderstood you. I just wanted to apologize for that. Jean scratches his cheeks awkwardly with his fingertips and starts to talk. I thought you were much more of a jerk. You have a scary face, and I never hear good things about the Baskervilles. That, I know it. But you were a good man. You could have left us alone, but you risked so much to help us. You gave us medicine. I'm sorry I misunderstood you and ignored you in the classroom. Please forgive me. Jean takes the trouble to stand up, bends at a right angle at the waist, and bows his head. He is an upright man. This may be the first time for me to talk to my classmates in a straight face, since I have been a bit of an outcast at the school. I don't know what to say back to him, and I turn my face away from him with a subtle look on my face. I feel a little embarrassed and take out an item from my tool bag to hide it. Don't worry about what happened so far. It's true that I have a scary face and that the Baskervilles are villains. I'll go on ahead, and you can use this to get out slowly. What I handed to Jean was a consumable item called Amulet Incense that drives away monsters. It only works on weak monsters, but if it is an enemy of this dungeon size, they should be able to escape without encountering them. Thank you again. I'll be sure to return the favor. Just pay me back with a promotion, and you'll be fine. See you later. I said bluntly and left the place with a wave of my hand. Chapter 16. The Hero and His Companions. I eventually reach the 5th floor of the Sage's playground and proceed deeper and deeper, knocking away the monsters as I go. Even though it is the lowest floor, it is still the first dungeon. After defeating the boss and the event monster, the Gargoyle, there are no powerful monsters. You. Baskerville. Just as I was about to reach the deepest part of the dungeon, I encountered a group coming back from the back of the dungeon. It is Leon, the protagonist of Dunbrave 1. Seal and Nagisa, the heroines, are following behind Leon. The faces of the three of them showed obvious signs of fatigue. It seems that they had fought off the gargoyles at the end of the dungeon, rested for a while, and then returned. It seems that all three of you are safe. Surely you are the descendants of heroes. Safe? How did you know we were in danger? Leon suddenly looks at me with suspicion. Is this man, by any chance, suspecting me of being the mastermind behind the gargoyles? Even though Zenon is a villainous character, this is a very serious false accusation. I don't know about your fearful face, but a powerful monster came out from the depths of the dungeon just now. I was just wondering if you guys had encountered it too. You were attacked by that monster too. I'm surprised you survived. Yeah, I'm okay, but some of our classmates got hurt. Oh no, it's my fault for letting the monster go. Leon's face is contorted with regret. His childhood friend Seal is standing next to him, holding his hand in a caring manner. No, it's not Leon's fault. If Leon hadn't been there, Nagisa and I might have been killed. You protected us, but if I defeated it properly, my classmates wouldn't have been attacked. What kind of a descendant of a hero? I'm powerless. Leon. Leon's group started to make a commotion with their own regrets. Seal, his childhood friend, and of course Nagisa are behind them, expressionless and biting their back teeth. I shrug my shoulders and try to put a damper on the funeral-like atmosphere. I'm sorry to interrupt your excitement, but those who were hit by the gargoyle are not dead, just wounded. The gargoyle has already been defeated. I've given medicines to the wounded, so they should be fine. Leon and Seal's eyes rolled back and they cheered. Really? They're safe, thank God. You're lucky. I'm sure Leon's damage has weakened the enemy. He protected us after all. Leon and Seal shouted gaily and hugged each other. I exhale bitterly as I watch their joyful faces. In the original scenario, Leon would have grown dramatically out of his intense regret because an enemy he had missed had killed his classmate. However, Leon in front of me does not seem to be so regretful. In this situation, he may not grow as the scenario suggests. Now, what should I do? I don't think it's wrong to save my classmates, but I can't imagine how much this will affect his efforts to defeat the Demon Lord. I wrinkle my brow and shake my head. There's no use thinking about it from here. For now, let's do what I can for now. Well then, I'd better be going. Take care of yourself and go home. Baskerville. Leon stops me in a panic as I'm about to go on. I turn around to see if he still wants to talk to me, but Leon remains silent with a difficult look on his face and is reluctant to speak. I'm in a hurry. If you have something to say, do it quickly. Thank you, I appreciate it. You gave medicine to a classmate who got hurt, didn't you? You cleaned up my mess. I couldn't help but open my eyes to see Leon, who was reluctant to express his gratitude. I had never expected that Leon, who had been so hostile to me since I entered the school, would express his gratitude to me. He is a hero, after all. He seems to be a man who always does what he is supposed to do. But don't get me wrong, okay? I will never forgive an evil like you. You'll get what's coming to you. Ah, Leon. With these words, Leon walks toward the exit of the dungeon. Seal follows behind him. Baskerville, him. But for some reason, Nagisa stays where she is, staring at me. Was it you who killed the gargoyle? What if I told you I did? I knew it. You were the only one who wore a different air in the class, but I guess my eyes were not mistaken. Nagisa's eyes narrowed, and the corners of her lips lifted happily. I'd like to see you make a move. Fighting with the strong is a good way to learn how to be strong. Nagisa said nothing more and followed the two who had gone ahead of her. I, left behind, look up at the stone ceiling and sigh deeply. Alas, I think I've caught the attention of a troublesome person. I hate to think of all the trouble ahead. Snorting lightly and smiling coldly, I proceeded to the deepest part of the dungeon to achieve my goal. Chapter 17. Treasure Room. Continuing deeper into the dungeon, a large space soon appeared in front of me. In the place where Leon's group and the gargoyles had fought earlier, there were scratches on the ground as if by sharp blades, and the walls were scorched black by magic. While admiring the strong battle scars, I go to the pedestal in the center of the room. On the pedestal is a bunch of metal medals. I take one of them, put it in my pocket, and tap it lightly on my clothes. That clears the dungeon. I guess I've completed the mission, almost intact. This medal is a proof of achievement in the Dungeon Sage's playground. By obtaining this medal, I will receive points for my skill and will be allowed to explore dungeons of higher levels. The game made me cry. When I got rid of the gargoyles and went out thinking that was the end of it, I was denied permission to complete the dungeon because I didn't get the medal. Thanks to this, I had to dive once more into the dungeon I had already conquered. This is a common failure for those who have played Done Brave before. By the way, did Leon and his friends bring back this medal? They might have forgotten it, since they seem to have been wounded all over by the battle with gargoyles. I'm sorry for their loss, and I carefully check around the room to accomplish another task. In fact, there is one more secret hidden in this room. It is a benefit that appears only in the second or later rounds of play. This is a bonus that cannot be obtained on the first playthrough, and I wonder if it is reflected in this world as well. Found it. Here it is. There was a part of the wall that was a slightly different color. When I pushed the spot with my hand, the wall rotated and a new passageway appeared, just like a hidden door in a ninja house. Without hesitation, I stepped into the passage. I walk about 10 meters and a blinding light spreads in my vision. Oh, it's right there. Treasure room. A mountain of gold appeared before me. Countless gold coins are piled up in a heap so high I could see them. Surrounding them were a number of treasure chests, richly decorated with jewels. The name of this room is Treasure Room. It is one of the benefits for completing the game, which can be obtained by playing the game repeatedly. The scenario of Done Brave has several routes and endings, and is designed on the premise that players play the game in a round-robin manner. And, as is the customary in such games, there are some perks to be released by reaching the endings. One of these perks was Treasure New Game. One of the benefits was that I could take over the money and items I had at the time of the previous clear. When I visit the first dungeon, Sage's Playground, after the second round, a hidden room appears at the far end of the dungeon. In the hidden room, the gold and items I have taken over are stored, and I can take them out freely. I open one of the treasure chests and take out the magic bag inside. This is a valuable item that can be obtained at the end of the game and can hold an infinite number of items. There were several tools that could store items, but this magic bag was the only one that could store an unlimited number of items. I can't stop laughing. This much money, item, I'm suddenly a millionaire. Laughing at the urge that surges through me, I start storing the piles of gold coins in my magic bag. The treasure chests are neatly sorted into material items, consumable items, and equipment items, and I throw them into the magic bag without leaving any of them behind. Oh, is this sword really? I find a sword among the items and stop my hand involuntarily. The sword taken out from the treasure chest is a sword with one end dyed black like a wet feather of a crow. If I look closely, I can see red streaks like blood vessels on the warped blade like a Japanese sword, and it is pulsating like a living creature. Demon Sword, Aminohe Zamaru. You have come to this world too, haven't you? I love and miss you, my beloved sword. It was once a weapon I created during gameplay. Done Brave can create a new weapon by requesting it to the blacksmith. The The performance of the weapon changes depending on the material items brought in, so it is possible to create your own original weapon. Amino Hazamaru is the best weapon I have created. It is a masterpiece that I have developed over and over again, taking time to collect materials, investing an almost insurmountable amount of money, and repeatedly strengthening it. The performance of this sword, forged through more than 10 rounds of play, surpasses even the most powerful weapon, the Holy Sword, Exbrave, which can be obtained in the latter half of the scenario. When equipped by the hero who had trained his skills to the maximum, it was powerful enough to inflict heavy damage even on the Demon King in the hard mode. If this sword is here, does that mean that the items in this room are based on my lap data? Who in the world prepared these items for me? The existence of this bonus for clearing the game means that this world was created from Done Brave that I played. In other words, I didn't wander into this world by accident and possess the body of Zenon Baskerville, but was intentionally reincarnated into this world by the will of someone else. Who in the world, and for what purpose? When I was in Japan, I have read several novels in which people were reincarnated as game characters, but I never thought that I would be in that position. I don't know if it is a god or a demon, but I wonder what is the purpose of the person who sent me to this world. It can't be a coincidence that I was reincarnated as Zenon, the main character of Done Brave 2, instead of Leon, the main character of Done Brave 1. There must be a meaning to this. I pondered in agony for a while, and then I gave up and slumped my shoulders. How can a human being measure the intention of the creator of the world? It is a waste of time to think about a problem that I cannot judge whether it is right or wrong. If I dwell on them, I will lose the day. Wanko-sensei and my classmates who left the dungeon before me are probably waiting for me outside, so let's hurry up and finish collecting the items. I stopped thinking nonsense. With this, I just keep moving my hands to put the items into the magic bag. Chapter 18, Looking for Partners. After exiting the dungeon, I handed Wanko-sensei a medal as a reward for my achievement. I was certified as having successfully cleared the Sage's Playground and was allowed to explore other dungeons. Higher-level dungeons are inhabited by more powerful monsters, and it will be easier to improve my skill level. First of all, the first barrier has been broken. By the way, as expected, Leon and his friends forgot to get the medals. Even though they had defeated the Gargoyle, the event boss, they had to go back to the Sage's Playground at a later date. I really feel sorry for them. I have already reported the Gargoyle to Wanko-sensei. The school was surprised at the appearance of such a powerful monster that should not have been there. However, unexpected accidents are bound to occur in dungeons. Since no one died, it is unlikely that any significant countermeasures will be taken. The purpose of the Gargoyles who were after the descendants of the heroes was kept in the dark. Well, I'd better look for a partner. There's a limit to how long I can play solo. I walked out of the school after class and mumbled to myself as I walked through the market near the school. I was walking home today to make a side trip, and the carriage I was using to take me home had already been sent home. The market was bustling with people. A housewife came to shop. A child running around with sweets. Merchants trying to sell their goods skillfully, some of them even look like pickpockets, looking for their prey. The only thing they had in common was that they kept a certain distance from me and avoided the road. I have never even had a conversation with them, and there is no way they know the Baskervilles, so I guess they are avoiding me simply because they are afraid of my face. Anyway, thanks to the items I've collected in the treasure room, I don't have to worry about consumable items such as potions. My magic bag is filled with hundreds of potions from the lowest to the highest level. However, the problem is not the consumables, but the equipment items. Because most of the weapons and armor I got back from the treasure room are things I can't equip now. In this game, there are skills and proficiency levels required to wear equipment. For example, a weapon item silver sword can only be equipped if the skill level of swordsmanship is 30 or more. And most of the equipment that I got back as a perk of the rounds are powerful weapons and armor that I obtained through repeated rounds of the game. The required skill level is very high, and they cannot be equipped in the current situation. Even the most powerful weapon that I have recovered, the Amino Hazamaru, requires a skill of swordsmanship 90 or higher. It was nothing but a waste of treasure in my current condition. If this is the case, I should have kept the weak weapon too. No, the weak weapon is meaningless. Now, the only thing I can do is to go into the dungeon and increase my skill level. However, there is a wall I have to overcome to do so. Going back to the beginning of this article, there is a limit to the number of people who can dive in high-level dungeons solo. No matter how well-informed I am, it does not mean that the dungeon is free from danger. For example, what should I do if I am affected by some kind of abnormality? If I'm poisoned, I can recover by taking a medicine immediately, but if I'm paralyzed or petrified, I will lose the ability to fight with a single blow. If I don't have a companion to heal me, I will be dead on the spot. In the later stages of the scenario, I may have developed a resistant skills against the abnormalities, but in the early stage, I have to rely on healing spells and recovery items. In other words, it is essential to have a partner who can help me when the time comes. But I'm a loner. If I were Leon, I would have a friend from the beginning, the childhood heroine seal. But I'm not Leon, I'm Xenon. I am Xenon Baskerville, the lone villain. In the game of Done Brave 2, Xenon had no other way to get friends except by sleeping with the heroine and brainwashing her, and he could not make friends in a proper way. I don't think all of those settings are reflected in this world, but from the looks of my classmates, it seems that it would be difficult for me to invite them to join my group. Then there are two options: hire mercenaries or buy slaves. One option. First, mercenaries. In Done Brave, there is a sub-heroine who is a mercenary, and I can hire her and make her my partner by paying her money. Although there is a disadvantage of consuming money, it is possible to hire her as an immediate companion with a certain level of fighting ability from the beginning. The problem is that people hired for money cannot be trusted. Some of the characters hired as mercenaries ran away when they were in a pinch in battle. Others ran away with money or items, and I remember that they were all crooks. Then, the second option. It would be better to buy slaves at auction and make them my partner. Slavery exists legally in Slayer's kingdom. Bound by slavery magic, they cannot betray their masters and are forced to swear a semi-permanent oath of allegiance. Most of the slaves are either criminal slaves or economic slaves in debt. Abusing or killing slaves is prohibited by law, but punishment with a whip is not punishable. There is no doubt that human rights are greatly restricted, and even freedom is lost. Frankly speaking, as a healthy Japanese, the act of purchasing slaves is repulsive to me. However, I cannot afford to choose the means when my life is at stake. If I continue to dive in the dungeon solo, I will surely lose my life one day. If this were a game, I could simply retry. But now that it is a reality, there is no way I can carelessly risk my lives. I have to live too. I need loyal subordinates for that, even if they are slaves. I have the utmost sympathy for those who are enslaved. But if I don't buy them, it doesn't mean they will be freed. On the contrary, there must be people who will be saved by my purchase. I told myself like this as I went to the auction house where the slaves were being sold. Chapter 19. Auction of Color and Desire. The auction house was set up in the downtown area without being seen by the public. At the entrance of the huge tent, spread out like a circus tent, many sales touts stopped people on the street. They must be trying hard to make the auction more lively, because the auction cannot be exciting unless the seats are filled. This slave auction is a place that appears in a sub-event of the game. A sub-heroine is to be sold as a slave for a debt made by her parents, and Leon goes to the auction house to rescue her. There are two strategies for this event. The first is to earn more than a certain amount of money within the time limit and purchase the heroine through the proper channels. The second is to sneak into the auction house and steal the heroine. I took time and effort to play both routes because the CG of the reward changes depending on which is chosen. Well, isn't it the young master of the Baskervilles? A fat man in front of the entrance called out to me. His face is familiar. He was the auction manager who had appeared at the slave rescue event. Well, do I know you? Excuse me, my name is labeled, I'm the auctioneer. Your father has always been a great help to me. Ah, I see, you worked for my father. It seems that this slave auctioneer is under the control of that father. It's not surprising. The Don, the leader of the underworld, must have been involved in the slave trade. A slight hesitation arises in my mind. As long as this is Garandolph Baskerville's territory, I think it's better to stay out of it. Because if I buy slaves here, Garandolph will hear about it. He might find out that I'm gathering forces. Well, let's go in. It's not fun to have my father find out what I've been up to, but it's not like he cares what his son does. If I don't go into the tiger's den, I won't get the tiger's cub. This is a proverb that I have never used before, including in my previous life, but now is the time for me to use it. Oh, come this way, please. I'll find you a good seat. Labeled leads me into the auction room with his well-shaped belly tapping and swaying. The inside of the hall was more spacious than it looked from the outside. A stage was set up in the center of the circular hall, and the audience seats were arranged around the stage. Most of the seats in the auction hall were already occupied. There were various kinds of people waiting for the auction to start, from well-dressed ladies who could be recognized as nobles at a glance, to merchant-like men who looked like rich people, to low-life thugs. I am led by Labeled to the front row of the seats. As soon as I sit down, a sexy woman in tights brings me a drink. Well then, young master, please enjoy yourself. Labeled bowed politely and disappeared behind the door of what appeared to be a staff room. He's a very eager businessman. Is it really that profitable to buy and sell human beings? With a sarcastic remark, I sipped the drink brought to me. The drink, dissolved in citrus juice, tasted refreshing and even had cubes of ice floating in it, perhaps created by magic. While I was tasting the fruit juice, Labeled appeared on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the slave auction is about to begin. A slaver in a tuxedo opens his hands and announces the beginning of the auction in high spirits. It's finally started. I hope there will be a good turnout. My pockets have been well funded by the gold I recovered in the treasure room. Maybe I can afford to buy 1 or 2 slaves. The question is whether or not I can find good people to use as a fighting force. I have to go into the dungeon and confront my father, who is at the top of the underworld. I needed someone who would work for me to be a good fighter. Soon a woman dressed in white is brought from the backstage. A metal collar was placed on her neck, and a chain hung from it. The audience cheered for the beautiful blonde woman and raised the price one after another. The price is paid mainly by men. Their eyes are red and bloodshot with lust. Sigh. Human beings buy and sell human beings as commodities. It was an ugly sight that made me want to cover my eyes. But it's no longer a stranger to me. From now on, I must be one of those ugly people. I look up at the heavens in disgust and let out a depressed sigh at the ceiling. Chapter 20. The Connected World. The auction to buy and sell slaves proceeds in a frenzy. One after another, slaves are sold. Beautiful women, strong men, and even children of tender years. All the slaves on the stage were sold off for a price without exception. Staring at such a grotesque scene, I sigh with slumped shoulders. I'm not very good at this. They're all just ordinary people with no real skills. Slaves were auctioned off one after another, but none of them were worthy of my attention. I have a monocle over my right eye, which I did not have on before. This is one of the items recovered in the treasure room and is called the God Eye. The effect of this item is that the player can see through the lens the skill and proficiency of the opponent he is looking at. In this game, there is no concept of level, so the skill determines the ability of the player. Being able to see the skills of my opponent gives me a great advantage in a fight. Originally, it was used to check the abilities of monsters, but it was also useful for connoisseurs at auctions. It is because it is possible to see the abilities of slaves that cannot be seen from their appearance. Various kinds of people were offered for sale at the auction. A stunningly beautiful woman, a strong-bodied warrior of great stature, an elf girl with pointed ears and green hair, even a very rare and seldom-seen warrior of the dragon race. Though they looked beautiful and splendid on the outside, I saw through God Eye that they did not have skills that would be useful in battle or had not yet reached a level of proficiency. None of them were the kind of people I was looking for. Skills can be acquired, but even so, having the initial skills makes all the difference in the speed of growth. Well then, the next one will be the last slave. While I was blabbering, the end of the slave auction seemed to be approaching. This time, no useful slaves were found. I guess I'd better find another way to find a partner to dive in the dungeon with me. I shrug my shoulders and get up to leave the hall without seeing the auction through to the end. But I was stopped in my tracks by Labeled's word, who was moderating the auction. So, the last slave is a race as rare as the dragon people, a daughter of the Gigant tribe from the northern demi-human continent. Oh, I let out a doubtful voice and turned around to see a small girl standing on the stage. The white-haired Gigant, no way, Urza White Ogre. Why is she here? Urza White Ogre. A small girl, no taller than my waist, with paper-white skin and hair and golden eyes, she had an extraordinary appearance. Her red horns peeked out from between her white hair, which proved that she was of the demi-human race called Gigant. Urza is not a character in Done Brave. She doesn't even appear in Done Brave 2. I knew Urza because she is a character in another game that is not Done Brave. The name of that game is The Warlord of Sacred Sea. It is a war simulation game released by the same company as Done Brave. Set on an island nation in the South Sea, the game aims to win the war against the enemy nation by increasing the number of friends. The game is characterized by the appearance of more than 100 companion characters. Urza was one of the characters, but why is she in the world of Done Brave, a character from another game? It's crazy, it's beyond the boundaries of the game. What the hell is really going on in this world? I was standing in front of the entrance of the venue because I didn't expect this. Standing there in front of the entrance is a bad and eye-catching thing to do. However, no one in the hall was looking at me. 500,000, 700,000, 1 million, 2 million. The audience, their eyes blazing with excitement, raised their voices one after another to raise the price. The price, which started at 100,000 at first, had already increased more than 20 times. It was no wonder. Urza looks like an elementary school student, but her face is so beautiful. Her white hair and skin are mysterious, and her golden eyes are shining like a full moon in the night sky. In addition, she is a member of an extremely rare race called Gigant race. Gigant, like elves, age slowly so they can retain their youthful appearance for a long time. She is physically very strong and an excellent warrior. Without a doubt, she will be the centerpiece of this auction. I proceed to consider why Urza exists in the world of Done Brave, despite the unprecedented excitement in the auction hall. Is the worldview of Secret Sea merged into this world, just like the settings of Done Brave 1 and Done Brave 2 are merged into this world? Or was it the same world from the beginning? Perhaps the world of Done Brave and the world of Sacred Sea originally existed on the same worldview. For example, I once played a famous game in which players catch monsters with a ball and fight them, and although each game in the series was set in a different place, those places were on the same world, just in different regions. In the same way, Done Brave and Sacred Sea are connected on the same world, and the locations where the story takes place may be different. Both games are made by the same company. It wouldn't be surprising if they were connected by a backstory. 50 million, oops, 50 million came out, are there others? While I was thinking, the amount had reached 50 million. I touch the god eye over my right eye with my fingertip and squint my eyes. Urza White Ogre's job is Berserker. It is a power fighter type warrior job with high offensive and defensive strength and low speed and accuracy. She possesses 3 skills: strengthening, toughness, and hammering. All of them were under 20, but it is rare for a character to have 3 skills from the beginning. I also have 3 skills, but one of them is training, which is useless in battle. Urza, who has 3 combat skills, is a rare person who would certainly be called a genius in battle. She definitely passed the test of being a battle prodigy. I would say she is the ideal person I was looking for. I wonder if I can buy Urza. I can afford it. It would be a considerable expense, but I have enough money to spare. But if this world is connected to the world of the Sacred Sea as I have imagined, Urza will now participate in the scenario of the Sacred Sea and be involved in the war. If I recall, Urza was forced to work as a slave by a certain nobleman, and after some twists and turns, she became one of the heroes of that world. This auction may be a flag for her to go to that nobleman as a slave. If I buy Urza here, I'm going to mess up the scenario of Sacred Sea. Is it okay for me to bring in Urza, who may become a lover with the main character of the other side, depending on the route, into my side for my own convenience? I don't care about the scenario, but I just decided to stay away from the heroine as much as possible. Urza was not Leon's heroine, but what right do I have to distort the future of Urza, who might end up with the hero of the other side? Well, we got 6,500,000. Any more? Is there anyone else? I look at the auction without making up my mind. Labeled's face turns red and he looks excited. He seems to be excited as the organizer of the auction because the amount of money is rising at a rapid pace. Urza, who is standing next to Labeled, has a dark expression on her face, her eyes downcast, and she is biting her lip. Her thin shoulders are shaking slightly, as if she is trying hard to hold back her tears. Suddenly, Urza looked up from her slumped position. It must have been a coincidence. I was the only one who stood up among the customers, and a girl's eyes stopped on me standing in the aisle. Her deep golden eyes are so deep that I feel as if I could be sucked into them. Her eyes are about to burst into tears, and mine are connected by a line. A beautiful face frozen in despair. Her eyes that seemed to be begging for help made me feel as if my heart was being held in my hand. 10 million. I couldn't help but raise my hand as I said that. Chapter 21, Exchange of Love and Desire. The amount of money I had just mentioned was met with a moment of silence in the auction room. The participants were frozen in place for a moment, but then, perhaps their thinking caught up with the situation, a loud commotion arose from all over the place. 10 million? The price suddenly went up. He's going to pay that much for one woman? 10 million is not a cheap price, even in the game world. For example, even the most expensive weapon item that can be purchased at an armory costs no more than 1 million gold. So, with 10 million gold, it is possible to equip all the members of a party with the most powerful equipment and face the final boss battle with all possible preparations. To spend that much money to get just one slave. It is an act considered foolish. I've made a mistake. I've done something unnecessary again. I sighed inwardly as I stared at the bustling auction hall with vacant eyes. Even if I don't help Urza, she will be saved by the hero in the scenario of the Sacred Sea and be released from slavery. My action is an action that may destroy such a future. Maybe even the outcome of the war itself will be changed by my actions. But how can I ignore her tragic future when I know it's coming? Urza White Ogre is a girl who will be saved by the protagonist of another game. Until then, however, she will fall into the hands of a vicious nobleman who will play with her small body. Her immature, still-growing body becomes a prey to their ugly desires, and she is tortured to the point of having her heart broken into pieces without a trace. If I don't know something, I can ignore it. But in my previous life, I witnessed such a horrific future through the game screen. So, it is impossible for me to turn a blind eye to the fact that I am at the crossroads of rescuing an innocent demi-human girl. I'm sorry for the protagonist of Sacred Sea, but if I'm the main character, I can at least do something to change the scenario by myself. I can't become a villain like Zenon Baskerville. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. 10 million gold. Anybody. Anyone who's interested in competing with that handsome boy over there. Perhaps in response to the unprecedentedly high amount of money, the host, Labeled, was also excited, flailing his arms around. His belly, which was bulging violently, moved up and down in accordance with his excited movements. 10 million. The man moaning in frustration is an aristocrat who is almost ready to win the auction but was stopped. He looks at me with a hateful glare as I stand in the aisle, but when I glare back at him, he turns his face away from me. My villainous look has come in handy for the first time. So this means I won't lose in a staring contest. I sniffed and returned to my seat, where I had just stood up. Then, I sit down and cross my legs in a big, proud smile. Zenon Baskerville was a man with an evil-looking face, but at the same time, he was a handsome young man with a wise appearance and an aura of nobility. I must have looked very handsome sitting like this. After all around the venue, female guests were blushing and breathing heavily. As I looked ahead, I noticed that Urza had raised her head and was looking at me. The girl with white skin, white hair, and a different look was staring at me with vague eyes. I raised my right hand and waved to the girl. Urza's shoulders shake, and she turns her head to the side as if in a panic. However, she is glancing at me through her white bangs, and it is obvious that she is aware of me. Perhaps it is my imagination, but I even feel that her pigmentless cheeks have turned rose-colored. You don't have to be so scared. I'm trying to help you after all. I shrug my shoulders and turn my attention to the nobleman, who is now trying to get Urza. I puff out my chest and sneer at him with a cold smile on my mouth. Damn. The nobleman clenches his teeth in frustration at my imposing behavior. Maybe he still can't give up. He raises his right hand weakly. 10,500,000. Whoa, this gentleman has increased the amount even more. 10.5 million, 10.5 million gold. Is there anyone else? 12 million. What? I added the money without changing my expression. I also didn't blink. I said it like it was nothing. And the nobleman, who was raised the price, flinched greatly under my counterattack. He strokes his bosom. Perhaps he has a wallet in there with his hand, and sweat drips down his forehead. T12 million gold. The man tries to raise his right hand, but then lowers it. He tries to raise his right hand again, but it doesn't come up fully, so he lowers it again. After repeating this action like a broken toy several times, he slumped his shoulders and groaned. He declared his surrender without words. Seeing that the man's heart was broken, Labeled nodded his head. Then, this girl from the Onijin tribe will be sold for 12 million gold. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause for this young man. Huff. The whole room claps their hands in celebration of my victory. In silence, I raised my right hand and waved it from side to side while sitting on a chair in the front row of the venue. Chapter 22. Puppy Onijin Girl. Urza's name is Urza. Nice to meet you, Gashujin-sama. Yeah. As soon as I completed the purchase, Urza approached me with a cheerful voice and hugged me. Urza, who appeared to be younger than me despite her actual age, was only as tall as my chest. She clung to my arm and gave me a wide grin. Urza will give her best for Gashujin-sama. So please take care of me. Is this the kind of character she has? If my memory serves me right, Urza White Ogre in Sacred Sea was an emotionless girl with a porcelain doll-like visage. However, the Urza before me now is as friendly as a pet dog receiving affection from its owner, and her white hair sways back and forth like a tail. Could this really be Urza? Is something wrong, Gashujin-sama? No, nothing. Come to think of it, Urza White Ogre in the game was a girl that had been forced to serve a cruel nobleman who mistreated her. So the Urza in front of me might be her true self. Perhaps this is how she acted before her mind break. Well, regardless, you are my worker from now on. You will serve me to the best of your abilities. Of course. I'll do my best to serve Gashujin-sama. I'm counting on you, but first, we need to change your clothes. Urza was wearing a worn-out white dress, resembling that untouchable's clothes. Additionally, she had a metal collar around her neck. Such clothing might lead to misunderstandings with authorities. Is there somewhere private for her to change? Labeled. Yes, how may I assist you, young Master Baskerville? I called out the shop owner's name, and immediately Labeled waddled in with his belly shaking. I'd like to help her change into different clothing. Do you have a suitable room? Certainly, we have an unoccupied waiting room. Please feel free to use it. Additionally, could you remove her choker necklace? Her choker? That might be a bit tricky. Labeled looked at me seriously and rubbed his bald head. The collar indicates she's your property. Young Master's name is engraved here to show you're the owner. Removing it might put her in danger, as an unclaimed one. Danger, what kind? A property without an owner lacks legal protection. Mistreatment or victimization won't be considered a crime. Even if released, they hold value due to being part of the rare Gigant race. So unless it's clear she's yours, someone else might claim her. I furrowed my brow in contemplation. This situation felt familiar. In Slayer's kingdom, the demi-human race is marginalized, with only indentured demi-humans residing in town. This strained relations with elf and dwarf nations, leading to scenarios aiming to prevent wars with demi-human nations. The horns on Urza's head immediately identify her as a demi-human. Without her collar, she could face mistreatment as a runaway. However, I didn't want to restrain her. What should I do? Gashujin-sama, Urza is okay. Urza held onto my arm, looking up at me with her golden, expressive eyes, which mirrored my less-than-noble appearance. This collar shows that Urza belongs to Gashujin-sama, and Urza likes it very much. All right. If it's acceptable to you, I won't worry about it. I agreed for now, still unsure about my feelings on the matter. Observing our exchange, Labeled chimed in. Now, let me show you the room. No one will enter while you're inside, so feel free to use the space. The shop owner, seeming slightly misinformed, led us to the waiting area. I'd expected a dirty room, but it was surprisingly clean and simple. Labeled pointed us in and shut the door behind him, leaving just Urza and me. Well then. Yes, Desuno. Wait, hold on. Urza began undressing without hesitation, removing her clothes and leaving only her undergarments. I was taken aback by the sudden exposure. Don't just strip like that. Are you out of your mind? Aren't we proceeding now? I can't change with clothes on. What are you talking about? No way. It seemed Urza shared Labeled's misunderstanding. What were these people thinking? I had no inappropriate intentions. Just change your gear. You can't explore dungeons dressed like that. Dungeon. I got you to explore dungeons together. I'm not turning you into my plaything. Dungeon. Explaining dungeons to Urza, her face lit up with excitement. I'm thrilled. Urza loves battles. Being able to explore a dungeon as an adventurer is a dream come true, Desuno. I see, the Oni-Jin race comes from a warrior clan. So they enjoy combat. Are we going to fight and loot? Count me in, Desuno. All right. She really shouldn't talk about violence with such enthusiasm. It's unsettling. After regaining my composure, I fetched the necessary equipment from my magic bag. The gear I had collected from the treasure room was beyond my current rank, but I had some lower-level equipment for new female teammates. Here are your options, weapons and accessories to start your quest. I carefully laid out the equipment on the ground. Try these on, let me know if they need adjustments. Yes, Desuno. In her underwear, Urza began dressing herself in the gear I provided. Soon after, she stood before me as a fully equipped adventurer. Chapter 23, Oni Loyalty. It is a very comfortable equipment, Desuno. I didn't know there were such good weapons and armor in the human land. Urza jumps up and down, her voice full of joy. Her white hair is swaying as she jumps, and her body is wrapped in a blue-colored shirt and skirt and light leather armor. Her equipment, which emphasizes ease of movement rather than defense, suits her very well and is full of cuteness that makes people smile. And the most eye-catching feature is the kanabo clasped in her both hands. The thick black metal club was covered with countless spikes and emitted a violent force that would have shattered someone's skull if she had been hit with it. That Oni kanabo also suits you well. I nodded my head in satisfaction and snapped my fingers. The Oni kanabo is an equipment item dropped by ogres, hobgoblins, and other Oni monsters. It has very high offensive power and requires low skill proficiency, so it can be equipped even in the early stages of the scenario. In the Dunbrave, there are only a few characters who have the skill of hammer art, so this is a gem that has been kept in a dead storage. Combined with the two horns on her head, it looks as if the weapon was made for Urza. I'm so happy, Desuno. I'll take good care of the present from Goshujin-sama. Well, I'm glad you like it. With this I can fight any enemy, Desuno. I'll kill them with all my heart for Goshujin-sama. Like I said, don't say such scary things. Are all Oni-Jin people fighting maniacs? Urza holds the kanabo in her hands as if it were a stuffed animal. Despite the fact that the spikes on the club look as if they might be painful, the white-haired Oni girl does not care about that and hugs the kanabo tightly. Ehehehe, Goshujin-sama, I love you so much. Hey, why do you love me so much? We just met. And I just gave you some equipment. I don't remember doing anything to make you like me so much. Urza's face, which had been sold at the auction, was filled with sadness and despair, and her eyes were moist as if she were about to cry. However, ever since she was sold to me, Urza has been so excited that she was so happy to have been bought by me. I wonder why her favorability has increased so much in such a short period of time. Urza likes good-looking men, Desuno. You see, Goshujin-sama is so cool. So I'm so happy that I belong to such a handsome guy, Desuno. Cool, are you talking about me? Urza's answer is met with a questioning look on her face. It is true that Zenon Baskerville is a good-looking man with a slender and sharp face. However, his sharp eyes and hawk-like nose give him an evil look and make him unapproachable. In fact, I was obviously shunned by the girls in my class, and sometimes they screamed at me when I smiled at them in a friendly manner. Yes, Desuno, eyes that could kill people just by staring, a wickedly pointed nose, a mouth with sharp fangs as if to devour flesh and blood. All of these are Urza's ideal man. Goshujin-sama is just like a legendary demon god, Asura, So wonderful, Desuno. That's great. But I don't feel like I'm being praised at all, even though I should be happy about it. But wait, is it possible that Urza has a special sensibility? Or does this villainous face look like a handsome boy to the Oni-jin people? Still, it is surprisingly unpleasing to hear girls praising me. It is as if I became popular among the natives in a village deep in Africa, while I was not popular at all in Japan. It is a very complicated feeling. I fell in love at first sight with such a wonderful lord from the moment our eyes met in the hall, Desuno. It was a fate that Goshujin-sama would buy Urza Desuno. Well, I'm happy for you. I shake my head, giving up on thinking. I had a rather unsettled feeling, but there was no point in interrupting the conversation at this point. Whatever the reason was, it would be good if the girl I was about to join was like me. After all, it is much better than being feared and hated. Anyway, it's better to be liked than hated. Okay, let's switch it up. If you're done getting dressed, we're leaving. Follow me. Yes, Desuna. Urza follows me out of the room behind me, her body bouncing nimbly. On my way out of the building where the auction was being held, I ran into the auctioneer, labeled. The well-dressed slaver strokes his chin in admiration as he sees Urza following behind me like a loyal dog. Well, well, she seems to have grown quite fond of you in such a short time. You are just as strong at night as the big master, young master. You can say whatever you like. I'm getting tired of correcting the mistake. I glared at the well-dressed slaver with half-lidded eyes and quickly tried to leave the building. As I was leaving the building, Labeled called out to me from behind. Please come to our auction again. We have a good selection of slaves waiting for you. I waved him off with a curt wave and left the auction hall without looking back. Chapter 24, The Incarnation of Desire. By the time I went out of the hall, it was already late in the evening. The market was closing down here and there, and the number of people on the street had become much sparser. It is easier to walk at this time of the day because I don't have to be bothered by the crowds of people. It has been a few days since I was reincarnated in this body. But although I've gotten used to looking like a bad person, it is easier to walk in a quiet town like this than to walk in a crowded place and being avoided. And now, while paying attention to the slave girl following behind me, I walk home at a rather fast pace. Although there was no curfew, it still took me about an hour on foot from the market to the house in the aristocratic district, but it would be better to return home before nightfall. Urza follows behind me, humming happily. She carries a big kanabo on her shoulder, but her steps are light and bouncy. It is as if a rabbit is running in the field. However, such joyful steps suddenly stop. Urza grabs my clothes and yanks me. Goshujin-sama, what's wrong? Just a little later than Urza, I realized. There are 3 men standing in the direction we are going, blocking the way, and more men appear from the side street behind us. An ambush, huh? What a mess. Before I know it, the passers-by have disappeared. Perhaps they chose an unpopular place for the ambush, or perhaps they had been chasing people away in advance. Anyway, out of the back of the 3 men in front of us, a well-dressed, aristocratic-looking man appeared. Well, well, we meet again. I tilted my head at the aristocrat who greeted me with a smirk. Who are you? Huh, you don't remember me? Surely, a man who can pay as much as 12 million gold doesn't care about a stone on the side of the road, does he? The man's sarcasm reminded me of the last person I had competed with at the auction house. Ah, you were a big help to me at the auction. Thanks to you, I spent more than I expected. I'm sorry about that. But please forgive me for that, because it was also a matter of competition. Yeah, so, the loser who lost the game, what the hell do you want? You even brought your friend. Is there a festival going on somewhere? Yes, we're having a fun and happy party. I'd love for you to come along. His mouth twitches at the word, loser, but he continues without losing his gentlemanly tone. And I'd like to ask you a favor. Could you give up that pseudo-human slave? If you hand her over to us quietly, we'll let you off with nothing more than a broken limb. So that's what you wanted. As expected, you boring bastard. It seems that this aristocratic-looking man could not give up on Urza. He even went to the trouble of bringing his friends with him and trying to persuade me to give it up. He must have been very angry at losing to me, as his eyes, clouded with greed, are glistening with hatred. By the way, what do you mean by pseudo-human? It's a word I've never heard of before. Oh, you don't know. It's a term for a demi-human. It's a common word in my country, but it's not used here. Who knows? Maybe I just don't know. Either way, it is an annoying word. Who decided that demi-humans are not people and are inferior to humans? I mean, Urza is smiling broadly as she was given an equipment. So, it is hard to believe that this girl is inferior to the noble man in front of us. For now, I sniffle and spit with a cold smile on my face. What you just said is out of the question. This girl is mine now, and I'm not giving her up. I don't know where you're from, but you're going home empty-handed with your butt rolled up. How? Urza is so thrilled to hear that I'm your girl, Desuno. Urza behind me screams in excitement, but I leave it alone because I'm not in a situation to worry about it now. Hearing my reply, the nobleman's face contorts in annoyance, but then he smiles a clingy smile. I was trying to make things easy for you, but this is why I don't like undisciplined brats. If you don't want to live, I'll let you die. Is that all right with you? The nobleman raises his right hand and his men draw their weapons. I narrow my eyes slightly at the murderous intent coming from in front of and behind me. As you know, I am a nobleman too. I'm from a family with a certain status in this country. Don't you think you'll get away with this for free? Yes, no doubt you are a nobleman. After all, you can pay 12 million gold for this, so you must be from a well-financed family. But I can't withdraw it either. With that girl, I can achieve a higher position in my country. The man opens his arms and raises his voice in an euphoric tone. If I offer that girl, a rare pseudo-human, an oni, I am sure that he will be satisfied. I will be his right-hand man, and I can make even greater achievements. That man, I see, I remember him. His exaggerated talk, his theatrical behavior, tugged at my memory. Finally, I remembered that I knew this man. You are from Kulam, right? And when you say, that man, you mean Zajatheros, the general of the Kulam army, correct? Who? The nobleman's eyes widened in astonishment. This exaggerated gesture indicates that he was a man close to Zajatheros. I can't remember his name because he is a mob character, but both of them are enemies who appeared in Sacred Sea. General Zajatheros is a pedophile by nature. He is a pervert who likes only demi-human girls. Urza was also a slave of this man and suffered a lot, but later she was rescued by the hero of Sacred Sea and became his friend. So, this is the man who offers Urza to Zajatheros. And then this man will be taken as a close associate of Zajatheros by virtue of his achievement. It's all connected. It all makes sense now. How do you know it, and more importantly, how do you know His Excellency? Well, I don't know for sure. After all, I have no obligation to tell you. Damn, now that you know who I am, I can't just leave you here. You'll die here, I see. Thank you for being so straightforward. But fighting is my specialty. I don't know why the nobles of Kulam Kingdom, a country to the south, are in this country, but I will gladly counterattack if he makes a move. Although I will interfere Sacred Seaside again, it will not cause any trouble to the main character as long as I just reduce the number of enemy characters. In return for Urza, I will reduce the trouble for him. Rejoice, Urza. You've got your first job. Raise your weapon. Yes, Desuno. She raises her voice full of joy at the thought of working for the Lord, and with a smile like a blooming flower, Urza readies her Oni Kanabo. Chapter 25, Slaughter Girl. Kill that brat? The nobleman shouts, and his men come closer, pointing their weapons at us. Seeing the enemy closing the distance, Urza's lips lift up, and her canine teeth bare in a ferocious manner. She has a pretty face, but when she gets ready for battle, she has the face of a great warrior. Urza, don't move yet. Protect my back. Am I going to have to wait? But I can't wait, Desuno. Urza is about to run toward the enemy. But the Oni girl nodded her head firmly, though she looked dissatisfied. Item, Dark Spirit's Grimoire. A scroll in the shape of a cylinder is taken out from the magic bag. This is one of the items recovered in the treasure room. As I untie it and quickly unfold it, countless letters emitting a bluish-white light spill out from inside the scroll. The letters flow into my head as if they were being sucked into it, and the magic enclosed in the scroll is imprinted in my brain. This is an item for learning new magic, and for learning dark magic. I held up my hand to the enemy in front of me and unleashed the magic I had just learned. Dark range magic, blood carpet, what the gua? A bright red spear appeared at the feet of the 3 thugs blocking the road ahead. And several dozen spears came out of the road like a sword mountain, skewering the men and causing them to die with bright red blood spurting out from all over their bodies. The splatter images were omitted from the game, but it was horrifying to see them in real life. I feel sick even though I did it myself. It's a horrible magic, even for me, like the torture magic my father used. I mean, why is it that dark magic is always like this? Wah. WWA. My guards. The nobleman falls to his knees as his men are slaughtered before his eyes. The spear that erupted from the ground did not reach the nobleman just in time, but if he had stepped forward another meter, he would have been killed by the spear. Well, now it's time for the guys in the back. Urza, you can kill them now. I've been waiting for it, Desuno. Now I'm going to kill you all, Desuno. Urza raised the Oni Kanabo and ran. Then, with all her strength, she strikes the men standing in front of her. Desuno. Urza swung the Kanabo at the face of the man in the middle. The thorny Kanabo mercilessly smashes the man's skull, and a wet sound echoes through the town in the evening twilight. Hey, Jaya. Damn it, you monster. 2 thugs remained. One of them stands back in fear, while the other slashes at Urza with his sword. The sword swings down at her small body, but Urza grabs it with her left hand only. Let go of me. The man tries to pull the sword out, but it is held in place as if in a vice. As the man's face tightens in fear and surprise, Urza swung her Kanabo to the side. Desuno, guac. The man's waist is struck from the side, and a cracking sound of bones sounded, and the man falls on his face. It seems that his spine is broken. But without hesitation, Urza stomps on the head of the man who has fallen to the ground and is unable to move. Is this the only one left, Desuno? Help me, please forgive me. No, Goshujin-sama's enemies must be killed, Desuno. The last man begs for his life, but Urza is determined to kill him. Goshujin-sama ordered me to kill you, so I can't forgive you, Desuno. No. Desuno. Before the man can finish, Urza swings her Kanabo. With a swing as powerful as a Major League home run king's, the man's head flies off into 1,000 pieces. His head flies through the air and lands in the yard of a nearby house. The residents of the house must be horrified when they find it tomorrow. Hech, isn't she strong? As I thought, she is a bargain. 12 million, worth half of the money I've spent on her over the last 10 cycles on the game. She's this strong at the beginning of the game, when her skills are still at a low level of proficiency. And if she is trained in the dungeon and fully developed, she will be as powerful as Leon, the brave hero, and the 3 main heroines. Goshujin-sama, I did it. Yes, you did it. Let's pat your head. It feels so good, Desuno. When I patted her white-haired head, Urza's cheeks turned rosy and she giggled. Her smile is innocent and cute, which is hard to imagine after she has slaughtered 3 people so cruelly. Now, with my hand still patting her head, I turned my gaze back to the front. Now your friends are gone, what do you want to do now? The only one left was a man who looked like an aristocrat. He should have just run away while his men were being beaten, but instead he was dumbly falling on his butt. W8. If you kill me, the problem will become more serious. The nobleman turns his hands toward me and squeezes out a plea for his life. I'm a nobleman of the Kulam kingdom. If you kill me, it will be a diplomatic problem. But isn't this first diplomatic issue when you're attacking me? I told you first, I'm a nobleman of this land. You thought if you got rid of my body and covered up the evidence, someone wouldn't know about it, didn't you? Well, I'll do the same thing. When you lost the auction, you should have just walked away. But it looks like you beat around the bush and let the snakes out. And what appeared was an oversized, poisonous snake. The man in front of me has no way to live. So let's make sure I kill him here. Then I suddenly noticed something strange. From a moment ago, I've been talking on the assumption that I'm going to kill the nobleman in front of me. No, before that, I had already killed 3 people with magic. I have killed a human for the first time in my life, including my life in Japan, and yet my heart is surprisingly cold. I did not feel guilty at all. Does it mean that I have become Zenon Baskerville both in body and mind? Or did I become Zenon because I was like this from the beginning? As I ponder this question, the nobleman squeezes out a desperate plea for his life with his face tightening. Help me, I'll pay you any amount of money. I'm sorry, but money is not a problem. Urza. Yes, Desuno. With a go signal, Urza approaches the nobleman, swinging her Oni Kanabo. Apparently, the living weapon in the shape of a girl has made the nobleman panic. He tries to crawl away. Eek. Ah, wait, Desuno. Urza runs after him and tries to hit the nobleman with the kanabo. In a second, the nobleman's body will be minced. Ara Desuno? But then, something unexpected happened. A metal knife came flying from somewhere and pierced into the nobleman's neck. The nobleman fell to the ground and stopped moving immediately. Section: Audiobook by Masquerade Audiobooks. Chapter 26, Dangerous Night. Urza, come back, yes Desuno. Urza jumps at the sound of my voice and rushes back to me. She holds her kanabo in front of her chest, preparing for the mysterious assailant, whom we don't know where they are. At the time the nobleman was killed, I felt no sign of an attack. It was not only me, who was unaccustomed to such a rough situation, but even Urza, who was supposed to be a fighter, felt the same way. I looked around cautiously, and then a slender figure appeared from behind a building in front of us. Don't be alarmed, Zenon Baskerville-sama. You. A slender woman, with long purplish hair, hanging down her back appears. She was wearing a black mask from the nose down and a black robe like a ninja. Who are you? I'm afraid I can't tell my name. But don't worry, I work for your father. I'm a member of the Baskerville Family Assassination Squad. My father's. The woman may have been trying to reassure me, but her words made me more cautious. How could I feel safe when she told me that she was my father's subordinate? What do my father's people want? Don't tell me he sent you to keep an eye on me. No, I was watching over Zenon-sama at the request of my companion, Labeled, who is in charge of the auction. Labeled, why is he doing this? I thought of a well-dressed slaver and asked suspiciously. It's not uncommon for big clients to be robbed on their way home from the auction. That's why guards like me go with our customers to keep them away from robbers. I see. That was an explanation that made sense to me. Auctions were a highly entertaining way to purchase goods, but at the same time, there was a risk that one's financial power would be revealed to other people. Buying expensive slaves without an escort, as I did, would be like asking a robber to attack me. However, it seems that there was no need for an escort. Indeed, you are the heir of the Baskerville family. I am sure that the future of this family is secure. I am silent with a complicated look on my face. It's nice to be recognized by someone who's obviously a skilled fighter, but it's not fun to be regarded as the heir to my father's throne. But for now, I put my hand on Urza's shoulder and quickly try to leave. I'm leaving. I don't need an escort from here on. Please be careful, and do not worry, we'll take care of the bodies. Let's go, Urza. Yes, Desuno. Urza looks back at the woman clad in black and follows me. As I was about to leave, I heard her gentle voice on my back. I look forward to seeing you again, the heir of the Baskerville. Section: As I return to the mansion with Urza, I am greeted by a servant. I order the maid to give Urza a bath and go back to my room. Phew. I lie on the bed on my back and let out a heavy sigh toward the ceiling. It's only been a couple of weeks since I came to this world, but today I killed a human for the first time. I have no regrets because I think it was necessary. But it's crazy to think that I can tolerate murder without resistance because it was necessary. Was I such a brutal person? Or am I influenced by Zenon's body after all? It is understandable that Urza, who was born as a warrior, can kill people without hesitation. However, I was an ordinary worker in Japan until the other day. And yet, I don't feel guilty about killing people. What is wrong with me? Well, whatever the reason, I should be happy about this. If I hesitate to kill people, I won't be able to do it from now on. Monsters are not the only enemies in Done Brave. Sometimes the enemies are evil people who believe in a demon king or criminals such as bandits. The fact that I can kill them without hesitation is an advantage in battle. If anything, it is better to accept it positively. After all that has happened, now I have a partner I can rely on. I can finally explore the dungeon properly. No matter how well I know the dungeon with the knowledge I have gained from the game, there will always come a time when I will get stuck in the dungeon alone. But with the help of Urza, my chances of survival have greatly increased. If I had to say so, I would have liked to have other magic and healing members. 2 attackers are too unbalanced. Well, I'll leave that for later. I should look for more slaves, or... Goshujin-sama, what? The door was opened with a bang. And the one who bursts through the door with the force of a kick is Urza, the slave I just bought. Biwa. I burst out my mouth at the sight of her. Urza was completely naked, and her whole body was drenched with water. Even her white hair was soaked, but without any hesitation, Urza hugged me. Ooh, my eyes hurt, Desunuo, the maid is bullying me. Wait, why are you hugging young master in such a manner? Urza-san. Leviana, the maid, came into the room after Urza. Leviana was not completely naked like Urza, but she was dressed only in a towel wrapped around her naked body, and her long hair was tied up on her head. Unlike the slender Urza, Leviana had a very voluptuous body. Her half-naked figure was so arousing that I could not take my eyes off her. I'm still washing your head, you know? I have to wash off the bubbles. Ooh, no, my eyes hurt. They hurt, Desunu. It seems that Urza ran away while her head was being washed with soap. Well, it is impossible that the Oni Jin race, which was living in the uncivilized demi-human continent, has such a civilized thing as soap. So she seemed to be tormented by unknown pain and fear. Ah, I'm also getting wet. I was soaked to the skin, and my clothes were soaked by Urza, who was hugging me. I tried to pull Urza away from me, but her hands clutched my clothes tightly and wouldn't let go. In the first place, she is an Oni Jin, and she is very strong. It would be impossible to pull her away from me. It can't be helped. Please take a bath too, young master. What? Leviana said something outrageous. Judging from the situation, she probably didn't mean that I will have to come in alone. Are you embarrassed by any chance? I mean, is it too late for you, young Master Zenon? Leviana's eyes turned black and white with a puzzled look on her face. Judging from this reaction, Zenon may have bathed with her on a daily basis. It would not be surprising if they had a deeper relationship than that. Oh, okay. It's a little early, but I'm going to take a bath. With determination, I stood up. If I resisted too much at this point, she would know that I was not the real Zenon Baskerville. It is not that I want to bathe with Leviana, but I need to keep her from knowing who I really am. Now, while holding Urza's body with my both hands, I leave the room somewhat nervously. Leviana moves ahead of me, but I suddenly catch a glimpse of her shapely butt under the towel covering her naked body. I shake my head from the unprecedented tension and step into the changing room. Chapter 27, Life with a Beautiful Girl. And so ended a night of tension and excitement. Leviana, a beautiful young woman, and Urza, an unripe blue fruit. Bathing with them was, well, what can I say? I think it was the most stimulating bath I've ever had, including in my previous life. It is not that I had no experience with women in my previous life. But even so, I have never been in a relationship with a beautiful woman of such an extraordinary level as Leviana. In addition, I did not have a criminal hobby to have a relationship with an undeveloped girl like Urza. Bathing with them was in many ways unsettling and unforgettable. After such a night, I open my eyes in my bed in my room. Finally, it's morning. I've been waiting for it. I couldn't sleep at all. My eyes have been wide awake ever since I got into bed, and it was almost dawn when I began to drift off to sleep. Now, while lying on the bed, I slid my eyes to the side. Munya desun. Han. On the same bed, Urza and Leviana were sleeping. Urza's face was pressed between Leviana's ample breasts, and perhaps stimulated by this, hot breaths were escaping from Leviana's mouth. I don't know how I can bear to sleep under such circumstances last night, but what kind of trial is this? Huff. I sigh deeply and quietly get off the bed so as not to wake them. I swear to God, I didn't do anything last night. I didn't touch Leviana, let alone Urza, the little girl. But how did I end up sharing the bed with them? The warm water felt so good, Desuno. I'm getting sleepy, so I'm going to sleep with Gashujin-sama, Desun. Those words froze Leviana in her tracks. Leviana, who was supposed to be a reserved maid, was stubbornly opposed to the idea of Urza and me sharing the bed. But Urza insisted on sleeping with me, and Leviana still refused to accept it. Their argument lasted until late at night, and somehow we ended up sleeping together as a compromise. In the end, I end up spending the night with an attractive and criminally beautiful girl, which results in an agonizingly sleepless night. Give me a break. Don't tell me this is going to go on every night. Would it be easier if I just give it a try? I was tempted to fall for such an alluring temptation, but Urza's presence would not allow me to do so. I wonder what Urza's reaction would be if I touch Leviana. Will she be interested in it, or will she become averse or fearful of men? but if worst comes to worst, she will ask to be held by me too. I bought her as a slave, but only as an asset. I have no interest in holding such a little girl. Therefore, I don't know how I should react when Urza asks me to hold her. I mean, how old is this girl? If she is an Oni, she must not be as old as she looks, right? There is a possibility that she is older than she looks. Maybe she is old enough that I'm allowed to touch her. If anything, I should just let my momentum carry me away. No, no, no. Oh damn, I haven't had enough sleep and my thoughts are flying. Goshujin-sama. While I was anguishing alone, Urza seemed to have woken up. She rubbed her eyes and hugged me as if she were sleepwalking. Good morning, Goshujin-sama. Ah, good morning. Etihahe. Urza, who seems to be still half asleep, rubs her face against my chest and relaxes her face happily. As I thought, she's a kid. How can she be older than me? I sigh and pat Urza's head, which is pressed against my chest with my hand. Chapter 28, Oni Girl in School. After Urza and I, Leviana also wakes up. I change into my uniform and take Urza to the dining room to have breakfast at the table. By the way, Garandolf, my father, has not been home since the day of the entrance ceremony. As for my mother, I don't even know if she exists or not. After stuffing my mouth with the food that Leviana had brought, I left the house with Urza. Now, we are going to the school. Urza, you remember what I taught you last night, don't you? Yes, Desuno. No fuss, no screaming, no violence. With a firm salute, Urza assured me clearly. The decision to bring Urza to the school was made in advance. The Royal Slayer Academy is attended by nobles and royalty, and many of them have servants such as stewards and maids or guards. If Urza is brought along, it does not violate the rules of the school as long as she does not make noise during the class. In addition, from now on, dungeon exploration and monster hunting in the outside of the town will be a part of the class curriculum. Therefore, I can't leave without Urza, my partner who will dive the dungeon with me. If you cause any trouble in the school, you will be banned. Do you understand? Yes, Desuno. Urza is behaving herself to be with Goshujin-sama. Urza answers immediately with sparkling, straight eyes. If she assures me so firmly, there is no need to worry about causing a commotion. I patted my chest and got into the carriage with Urza. Desuno, it's school. Desuno. With Goshujin-sama going to school, Urza is humming a funny song in the carriage. What on earth made her so happy? Her childish face was full of smiles. I don't know why. I'm starting to get really worried. Is it really safe to take her with me? Desuno, kill Desun. In contrast to Urza's good mood, I felt downcast, but the carriage still transported us to the school without stopping. Arrived, Desuno. Soon we arrived at the school. Urza got off the carriage suddenly, and while I followed her, I was met with surprised stares from the students on the way to school. Is that the Baskerville family? Who is that girl? What was that girl? She's cute, but she's wearing a collar, and she's got horns on her head. Is she a demi-human slave? The response was more than I expected. I was prepared for a bit of a commotion, but it seems that Urza's appearance attracted more attention than I had expected. This is Goshujin-sama's school. I'm so glad to join, Desuno. Well, that's good to hear. I'm a bit nervous, though. Well then, shall we go? Urza will lead the way, Desuno. Hey, you don't know the way to the classroom. You'll have to stay behind me. Urza, who is the center of attention, walks across the schoolyard with her eyes shining, paying no attention to the gazes of the people around her. Her innocent face made me feel more anxious than relieved. I wondered if Urza, who was born and raised as a warrior and a native of the demi-human continent, would be able to adapt well to the group life at the school. No, don't worry. I've told her so many times before, and besides, she's going to the school as my partner. She's not going there as a student, so there won't be any trouble, right? I told myself and took a deep breath. Urza pulled my sleeve and looked into my face with a superior look. Goshujin-sama, is something wrong? Does your stomach hurt? No, nothing, I was just thinking. I pat Urza's head lightly with a worried expression on my face, and I walk toward the school building. Naturally, Urza follows close behind me. Of course, she does not try to get close to the trouble. Since Urza listens to me, there should be no problem. But as I was walking toward the school building, I forgot one important thing. Trouble does not always come from my side. Sometimes it comes from the side of trouble. Baskerville, what? A sharp voice came from behind my back. I turn around, frowning. I don't think I've ever had a friend at this school who would suddenly call out to me. So, the person I turned around was not a friend. What is that little girl? Forcing her to wear a collar and making her a slave. You failed me, you wicked villain. A blonde man in the school uniform pointed a finger at me. It was Leon Brave, the top student in the class and the protagonist of Done Brave 1, a young man with a burning sense of justice in his eyes. Chapter 29. The rampant sense of justice. I forgot there's this guy. Leon Brave is a man with a very strong sense of justice. In the game, he even risks his life in a fight against a monster to rescue a girl he has only met once. So, if a young girl is collared and treated as a slave right in front of him, how could he possibly miss such a scene? You saved my classmates in the dungeon the other day, and I thought you weren't such a bad guy. But you're a villain after all, Baskerville. Behind Leon, who pointed a finger at me, was his childhood friend Seal Uranus. Her strong brown eyes are glaring at me behind Leon's back. Tusk, it's so annoying. Now, how should I handle this turn of events? If I follow the scenario of the game, Leon will eventually defeat the Demon King and save the world. After that, if Zenon doesn't steal the heroine, the world will be at peace and everything will be all right. As for me, I had no intention to get involved with Leon and interfere with the scenario unless someone dies in front of my eyes like in the case of the Gargoyles. But why would Leon get involved with me? I feel like cursing the heavens. I guess the game is different from the reality. Unexpected things keep happening. What are you talking about? Let the girl go. While I'm pondering this, Leon heats up and comes at me. I couldn't help but cough a little and then open my mouth. Yes, she's a slave, but what's the problem with that? Leon Brave. I glared at Leon with cold eyes and brushed my hair back deliberately. She was purchased legally and become my slave through the proper channels. And I believe the school rules allow nobles and royalty to bring their own squires and such to this school. So, I didn't break any rules. You have no right to complain. What? Don't you have any shame enslaving a girl of such a tender age? Following Leon's lead, even Seal, his childhood friend and heroine, yells at me. Yes, it's not about the rules of the school. It's wrong for a human being to enslave a little girl. Seal also has a strong sense of justice, especially when it comes to women and children. Her eyes flash up with a corner of her eyes that she can't let go. So, are you going to forcibly take her away from me and free her from the slavery? You know that is a crime, don't you? In the Slayer's kingdom, slaves are publicly recognized property. Forcibly taking them from them is a crime of theft or robbery. When I pointed this out to them, Leon and Seal both fell silent in frustration. However, they seemed not to be convinced by what I said, and they continued to insist. How much should I pay you to sell her to me? How much to free her from slavery? Huff. I sighed deeply. Yes, this is the kind of man Leon Brave is. As a descendant of a brave man, he should only think about defeating the resurrected Demon King. But he gets himself into unnecessary troubles that cost him money, time, and effort, and he goes a long way around. He cannot accept the sacrifice of the weak as necessary. That is his character. Well, RPG heroes are like that. It's a game where you enjoy the unnecessary detours. Really, he's a righteous protagonist to the point of disgust. This is out of the question. Get lost. I waved my hand from right to left at Leon's wondering face. It's not about the money. Urza is an asset I need. I wasn't going to give her up no matter how much money he offered me. I won't sell her for anything. She is my slave. She's my precious subordinate, my follower. Then see you later in class. I ended the conversation unilaterally and turned my body. I try to walk quickly to the school building, but a firm grip on my shoulder forces me to stop. You still don't get it after I've told you this much. You evil, what? I was forced to turn around and saw Leon raising his fist in the air with an angry expression on his face. He was an intuitive and reckless man, but I never thought he would resort to violence in public. It seems that I underestimated the hero's sense of justice. Tusk, I do not resist and try to get hit. After all, many people are watching me. Even if I look like a bad guy, if I continue to be beaten without any resistance, it will be Leon's side that is at fault. As a punishment, maybe I can ask the Academy to stop him involving with me any more than necessary. I clench my teeth and try to catch the fist in my face. When doing so, I also close my eyes and brace for impact. I won't allow you to touch Goshujin-sama, but then, again, something unexpected happened. There was someone there who didn't want me to get hit. Huh, Leon lets out a dumbfounded voice. It was Urza who protested. And with a cute face contorted in rage, she was about to swing her Oni Kanabo down on Leon's head. Chapter 30, The End of the Hero? Whoa-ah! Leon screamed in shock as the spiked Kanabo came toward his head. Still, he was the heroic hero. Instead of being beaten senseless, he let go of his grip on my shoulder and jumped backward. Kanabo hit the ground and the paved ground of the schoolyard cracked, creating a large crack. Urza quickly looked up and glared at Leon, who stepped backward sharply. I won't let you go, Desuno. Goshujin-sama's enemies are dead, Desuno. Urza readied her Oni Kanabo again and charged after Leon, who stepped backward. Her unhesitating movement made it clear that she intended to kill Leon. But Leon waved his hand and shouted to stop her. W8, I was trying to help you. Calm down and let's talk. I will blow your guts, Desuno. Wait, Woa. Leon pulls out the sword from his waist in a panic and catches a swinging blow from the side. And a heavy clang sounded. Leon's eyes widen in shock at Urza, who, despite her small stature, boasts formidable strength. No, stop, wait. I'm not your enemy. I'm just trying to free you from slavery. Yes, he is right. Leon is not your enemy. Please listen first. I don't care what you say, Desuno. Leon and Seal try to persuade Urza, but she refuses to listen to them. Of course, as a target, Leon screamed and ran away. Whoa, it's scary. Wait, this is no time to be stunned. I had been escaping from reality for a while with Urza's rampage, but as expected, I couldn't ignore the situation any longer. I tried to stop my rampaging partner. Hey, wait, Urza, stop once. Sit down. I will kill Goshujin-sama's enemies. Kill them, Desuno. Slay them, Desuno. Hey, listen to your owner. It seems that Urza is the type of person who loses sight of her surroundings when she gets into a fight. Should I be impressed that she is a warrior or be amazed at her madness? Wait, this is not good. I'll call the teacher. Run, she's gonna get us all in trouble. The gallery screams as the girl goes berserk. Will the teachers hear the commotion and rush to the scene first? Or will Leon be crushed by Kanabo first? Damn, what must I do? I have no choice in this situation. I may get caught in the middle of this, and the only thing I can do is to stop Urza even if I have to bind her body in a tight knot. As his guardian, it is my responsibility. I have to stop Urza forcefully even if I have to hurt her. I can't let the hero die here. Brace yourself. I'm determined, and I'm about to leap at Urza's small body. But before I can do that, this wild brawl comes to an end. Chest, Desuno, you little. A blow came down from the top, but Leon caught it with his sword above his head. However, Urza's attack does not end there. She saw an opening while Leon's hands were being used for defense and struck a kick from below. Crush Desuno Gyuhei, ah. Whoa, Urza's toe pierces between Leon's legs, in other words, between his legs. I, Seal, and the other students who had been watching the commotion around them at school are speechless, and the sound disappears as if time has stopped. All the boys who had been watching, including me, pulled away and clutched our crotches with our hands. Hi, papa. A funny sound escaped from Leon's mouth. He let go of his sword and fell to the ground. But Urza still raises her Oni Kanabo. I will finish. You Desuno. Hey, wait. Wow, Goshujin-sama. I hold back Urza's body to stop her from moving. And the Oni girl squirms in my arms but doesn't seem to shake me off. Are we going to have a baby here? The sun is shining, it's embarrassing. Desun. What a funny thought you're having, you crazy girl. Urza shakes her head in embarrassment. Meanwhile, a teacher finally comes running from the school building. The brawl that had caused a commotion in the schoolyard in the morning ended in exchange for the hero's precious sacrifice. Chapter 31. My mad dog. By the time a teacher rushed to the scene, the situation was resolved. Leon, whose groin was injured, was taken to the infirmary by a teacher and some students, and I was taken to the guidance room with Urza. Fortunately, we did not receive any punishment beyond a warning. It was because the testimonies of the other students made it clear that Leon was the one who had first started the incident. Leon tried to free the slaves by force. That is, it was an act of robbery against the properties. Even Urza's beating of Leon could be considered as self-defense, depending on one's point of view. Not to mention that I am the legitimate son of the Marquis of Baskerville, a powerful noble family in the kingdom. Leon, on the other hand, is only a commoner, although he comes from a family with a long lineage of heroes. Even though he is under the guardianship of Count Uranus, Seal's birth family, his criminal acts would not be tolerated. But the school did not seem to want to make a big deal out of this issue. And regarding Urza's violent behavior, the school did not ask any questions on the condition that they did not pursue Leon's robbery. Anyway, I warned Urza again not to be violent and went to the classroom. The first period had already ended, and it was break time before the second period started. Upon entering the classroom, I was met with stares from the whole class. Is that? Yes, yes, suddenly went berserk. Brave, he tried to stop him and got hurt. It seems that my classmates are getting the message that I am to blame. Brave is popular in class because of his cheerful personality, while I am the bad guy, the hated one. Maybe this treatment is understandable. Hey, Baskerville. I shrug my shoulders and walk to take an empty seat, but one of my classmates calls my name. I turned my head toward the voice and saw Jean waving at me. He is the man I had saved from the Gargoyle in the dungeon the other day. There are 2 empty seats just in front of Jean. It would be unnatural for me to ignore him, so I sit down there with Urza. Hey, Baskerville, I heard you had a rough morning. What are you talking about? You got into trouble with the Brave, right? I'm sorry to hear that. It seems that Jean knows that Leon was the one who got me involved. I can understand how he feels. Walking around with a little girl who looks so pretty, with a collar on, I'm sure it's a terrible. Especially with your face. Leave it alone. I'm born with this face. Ha ha ha, why do you have such an imposing face? It's a mystery. Jean's words showed no restraint. It seems that he is looking at me without the bad guy face, or evil Baskerville family glasses, after his life was saved in the dungeon. Owa, she's so cute. Fed, don't snuggle on me, Desuno. The girl sitting next to Jean, her lover and party member Arisa, hugged Urza from behind. Urza is flapping her arms and legs in frustration, but she can't seem to shake them off too hard, probably because I had given her strict orders not to get out of control earlier. Hey, Baskerville-kun, can you give him this girl? I want to put it up in my room. Please be nice to her. She's from the demi-human continent, and she's not used to people. Ah, I never knew demi-human are so cute. I want to have one too. Really? She is treated like animal. Is this racism? Arisa was rubbing her cheek against Urza's head, and Jean crossed his arms with a wry smile. She likes small animals. But I don't mean that she treats demi-human like animals. Okay, I know, and I'm grateful that you see us in a positive light. I'm Baskerville, the hated, evil man. Urza is a demi-human slave who just injured a classmate. Just a casual conversation like this is appreciated. While we were making small talk, the classroom door was opened from the outside. I thought it was the second period teacher, but it was Seal, Leon's childhood friend, who entered. Seal glared at us with fiery eyes and walked into the classroom with rude steps and sat down on the seat nearest to her. Jean tapped my shoulder with a sympathetic look. She seemed to have a lot of resentment towards you. You see, a woman's resentment is a scary thing. They say whatever they want, but it's not my fault. In the first place, it was Leon who got involved, and the one who went rampage was Urza. Although I can't say that I'm not responsible for her actions, I'm not happy that she's taking it out on me like this. As I slump my shoulders in disappointment, the classroom door opens again, and this time the teacher enters. Let go of me, Urza-chan. Arisa, who had been shaken off by Urza, shouted with tears in her eyes, and as if on cue, the second period class started. Chapter 32. Black, White, and Gray. In the end, Leon did not return to the classroom. He was also absent from the school the next day and the day after that. It seems that Urza's kick had a considerable impact on him. Since his injuries should have been healed by the healing magic, he might have suffered a great deal of psychological shock. No matter if he is the hero or the last boss, there is no way he can survive after being kicked in the vital point. And so, Leon is still in the process of recovering from the injury. Well, it's understandable. He's a boy, too. At lunchtime, I sat down on a chair in the cafeteria and murmured somewhat sympathetically. I am sitting at a rectangular table for 4. Urza is sitting next to me, and Jean and Arisa are facing us. It's been a week since then, and still Leon has not come to school. Thanks to the absence of the irritating hero, my school life continues to be peaceful. Seal Uranus, his childhood friend and the heroine, still stares at me, but she doesn't seem to want to get involved because she did not even talk to me. Furthermore, the purchase of Urza seems to have had a positive effect on the people around me. The charm of this little Oni seems to have eased my villainous look, and more of my classmates, including Jean and Arisa, have started to talk to me. I feel that I have been able to blend in with my classmates, albeit only a little. Despite all the commotion this girl has caused, I am once again glad that I bought Urza. This meat is delicious, Desuno. Urza was eating a lot of food next to me after I had already finished my meal. Perhaps it was because of her race as an Oni-jin, Urza was a very big eater contrary to her appearance. I was always amazed at the way she happily ate a meal for 5 people. Arisa, too, who was sitting opposite to Urza, shouted excitedly as she watched her stuff a mountain of meat into her small body. Awa Urza-chan, you are so cute when eating. You look like a hamster with a cheek stuffed with food. You can eat this one too, it's delicious, you know. Moi, thank you, Desuno. Urza took a bite of the cupcake offered to her. Since a while ago, some of the girls, including Arisa, have been feeding Urza with desserts and sweets. Urza looked unhappy at being treated like a child, but her appetite got the better of her, and she reluctantly accepted them. As I watch Urza chew with her cheeks full, Jean, who is sitting on the chair opposite me, opens his mouth. Anyway, that brave guy, he didn't come today either. Is he still feeling down? It seems so. A kid kicked his groin and almost made him unable to have children. If it were me, I'd be traumatized too. Yeah. Jean's face is drawn, and he holds his crotch with his hand. Although he was not involved in the situation, that was a spine-chilling, shivering scene. It was no wonder that Leon, the person concerned, was down. But he's an idiot too, trying to take someone else's slave. I wonder what he's thinking. At Jean's words, I sip my tea in silence. I had the same question. Leon is certainly the type of hot-blooded protagonist whose sense of justice goes out of control, and he often acts on his emotions without thinking. But I never expected him to do something so stupid. He's an intuitive fool, but I thought he was smarter than this. I don't know what's gotten into him. I don't think Leon is the same person today as he was in the game. Legal issues aside, trying to rescue a child from slavery was a very good-natured Leon-like action. The only difference is that this is not a game, but a reality. The protagonist is not bound by the rules, but follows his own will. In the world of manga or games, this may seem unprecedented and attractive. However, if it were someone close to me in the real world, he would be a very troublesome person. They would deny and try to take away what others have obtained by legitimate means, based on one-sided and unreasonable reasons, such as a sense of personal righteousness. It was not a pleasant experience for those who were actually victimized. I mean, in reality, it is not as simple as dividing the world into good and evil. There is a gray area in the world that is neither black nor white. Even the people on the gray side, who are not right but not wrong, are painted black by the hero's subjective viewpoint, which was a nuisance in itself. While thinking about this, I open my eyelids with a depressed sigh and lift the corners of my mouth sarcastically toward Jean. He's too serious and clumsy. There are things in this world that need to be overlooked and ignored. Isn't that what social skills are for? Well, you're probably right. Although Brave is an idiot, I don't think he's a bad guy. I agree with you. I hope we can understand each other one day. I gulp down the rest of the tea in one gulp. Next to me, Urza had received the 3rd cupcake and threw it into her mouth, which was covered with a sticky cream. Chapter 33. The Saint and Solicitation. After finishing the lunch, I decided to go back to the classroom. Behind me, there was Urza, who was following me with a little pace. Jean and Alyssa are not here. It seems that the lovers had entered the after-dinner lovey-dovey time and had quietly left the cafeteria so as not to disturb the others. I looked out of the corridor window and saw a men and women arguing in a corner of the schoolyard. Although I said men and women, there was only one woman in the group. The remaining 3 were all men. Come on, isn't it okay? Please join my party. You absolutely won't lose anything. We're the vanguard. You're a healer, so you're in a good position, right? Can we just do this one exploration? How about a trial? That's "This gentleman, I'm not sure I want to be in a party with you guys." The men were somewhat aggressive in their solicitations. It seems that they are inviting the woman to join their dungeon diving parties. The woman is tilting her head, and her eyebrows are furrowed as if she is troubled. When I look through the window, I see her neat profile and recognize her. She is one of the three main heroines. She is Eris Centaurea, a cleric, a healer, and known as the Saintess of Centaurea, or something like that. This event could it be? I searched my memory, mumbling hum, and nodded my head. This scene was familiar to me. This was the event that would be the flag for Eris to join Leon's group. Eris is in trouble when she is forcefully recruited by a noble student. By chance, Leon comes in between them and says, "I'm sorry, but Centaurea-san is going to join my party." Leon says to the nobleman without fear and takes Eris's hand and leads her out of the schoolyard. His courage makes Eris feel a faint liking for him, which leads to their intimacy. I remember there is such event. It is strangely moving for me to see the events that happened in the game happening right in front of my eyes. I tried to leave the place without disturbing them, remembering the game with deep emotion. But when I took 2 or 3 steps down the corridor, I suddenly stopped. Hwa, Gashujin-sama, because of my sudden stop, Urza hits her face against my back. But I was so flustered that I didn't have time to worry about that. Damn it, that bastard, he's not going to be here today. I turn around and rush to the window. In a corner of the schoolyard, Eris was still surrounded by boys. There is no sign of Leon coming to the rescue. No wonder. The main character, Leon Brave, is absent from the school today because of the ball-kicking incident. This is not good. What's going to happen? Okay. I'm not asking you to partying with us forever. Just help us explore the next dungeon. Hey, just once is fine. My father is a count. I'm on good terms with your father, Viscount Centaurea, too. Let's get along. I understand. I will go along with you guys just this once. It seems that the mention of his father's name was the deciding factor. Eris nodded her head reluctantly. I will join your party, even if only temporarily. I look forward to working with you. So it's decided, right? Okay, I'm looking forward to working with you too. Let's dive in the dungeon after school. We will have a meeting now. Yes. One of the male students, a boy who is the son of a count, takes Eris's shoulders and leads her somewhere. The boy's fingertips are touching her bust, but Eris only bites her lip and is taken away without any resistance. Oh, come on, seriously? No way. The heroine is taken away by mob characters. Considering that both they and Eris are nobles, one would think that they wouldn't do something nasty right away. But still, it was clear that the boys' faces showed a lust. Their ulterior face, as if to say lucky, was so obvious. She's gone. What are you going to do, Leon? I sighed and mumbled to the protagonist who was not here. How long are you going to stay in bed with your balls in your hands? Your heroine is about to be cuckolded by some nameless mob, you know? I mean, it's not funny that your precious heroine is going to be cuckolded by a small, not even big evil like Zenon Baskerville. This is beyond me. This is really a disaster. I hope it won't be a problem. This means Eris won't be able to join Leon. More and more, the hero is going to fall. I watched Eris and the others leave and scratched my head with annoyed face. Chapter 34, The Fool Dance. In the afternoon was a free class. Students could study in the classrooms or swing swords and spears in the training grounds. They were also allowed to leave the school and explore the dungeons if they applied to the teachers. As most of my classmates have already conquered the tutorial dungeon, the Sage's Playground, this allowed them to freely dive into other dungeons. Exploring dungeons away from the teachers can be dangerous, but the Royal Swords and Magic Academy is an institution that trains people to explore dungeons and fight against monsters. Anything that happens inside the dungeon is your own responsibility. This is true even if a student. The teachers explained to us that even if we lost our lives, it would be our responsibility. Sigh. As my classmates leave the classroom one after another, I let out a depressed sigh at my desk. What stuck in my head is a scene from the lunch break. It is about Eris Centaurea. Eris and the boys who had asked her out are already gone from the classroom. I heard their conversation as they were leaving the classroom, and it seems that they went to the dungeon called King of the Caverns Chamber. The King of the Caverns Chamber is a cave-type dungeon located a short distance away from the capital. It is mainly inhabited by golems and other rock monsters, and is a dungeon for beginners which is not difficult to conquer if a wizard and a monk are present. In that dungeon, there should be no danger of death unless something serious happens. If nothing serious happens, it's so depressing. Maybe I should go to that dungeon too. I mutter as if to throw up and get up from my chair. I don't have any plans for the rest of the day anyway. If I stay in the classroom, I'll just end up in a gloomy mood, so I might as well go to the dungeon and do some hunting. That should make me feel a little better. With this thought, I walked out of the classroom, and Urza came running next to me. Goshujin-sama, where are we going now? Well, it's too much trouble to go far away. Let's go to the sage's playground on the school grounds. Shouldn't we go after the woman who just came out? Hey, why would we do that? I stopped and looked down at Urza, who was a little taller than two heads. The white-haired Oni girl looks up at me with her eyes twinkling curiously. Because Goshujin-sama, you look like you're chasing after her. You're curious about her, right? Well, that's true, but... I frown and nod reluctantly. I didn't expect Urza to see through me. For someone who doesn't seem to be interested in anything but fighting, she does seem to watch people more closely than I'd expected. If so, we'd better hurry if we're going to catch up with them, or we won't be able to catch up with them. Desu no. I didn't say anything about chasing them. It's not like I said anything was going to happen. I replied, shaking my head. In fact, there is no guarantee that the three of them will do anything bad to Eris. Although they were aggressive in their recruiting, they were not breaking any rules. Nor did they explicitly threaten to do so, although it was not a good idea to mention a nobility. I think that other students would have done the same if they could have made such a solicitation. Anyway, if it was just a normal party and seduction, I have no right to complain about it. In the first place, King of the Caverns Chamber is not a difficult place to explore. Unless they are very unlucky, they don't need my help. Besides, there's also Leon. The person who saves Eris, the main heroine, must be the hero, Leon. It was not the place for a villainous hero. If I rescue Eris and set a flag, I would be taking the first step toward becoming a cuckolding hero. Then why does Goshujin-sama look so distressed? Urza says, and I fall silent, I know it myself. I know that I am lost in my mind. I want to help Eris. I can't make that choice because of the trauma of the game. Before I came to this world, I was a gamer who played Done Brave. I was enjoying my days of adventure, encouraged by Leon's courage and excited by the romance with the heroine. But then, in the long-awaited sequel, everything was ruined by the villainous hero Zenon Baskerville. The heroines are all stolen and played by Zenon, and Leon, who I admired as a hero, resurrects the Demon King out of hatred. Because I have witnessed such a development, I am afraid to get involved with heroines as Zenon Baskerville. I wish I could just turn a blind eye to it, but I am a softie too. I can't laugh at Leon. As I laugh at my own self-deprecation, Urza stands in front of me, puffing her little chest out. Urza is too stupid to understand what is bothering Goshujin-sama. But there's a saying among Oni-jin that, if an Oni is troubled, she should eat first. What does that mean? Instead of worrying, bite first. It means eat your enemy first and then think about it. Beat them to death first and then think about the rest. If it bothers you, why don't you just find someone whom you don't like and beat them up one by one? It's too stupid. This battle-mad race. Really, their race was a very hard-headed man. They're such a fighting race, they're so stupid that it's almost refreshing. But it's funny. Ha 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 ha, well, it's a stupid phrase, but it's a saying for sure. Talking with you makes me feel like a fool for worrying so much. My shoulders shook with the urge to laugh, and I let out a long breath. Okay, it's not a bad idea to be a fool once in a while. The main character is sleeping anyway. No need to worry about scenarios and flags. I might as well follow Leon's example and act like an emotional fool. I don't know what the consequences of my involvement with the heroine will be, but Leon is the one who pays the bill. Leon got his balls kicked in and he deserved it. It's his fault that he missed the Eris flag because he was absent. It's ridiculous that I should be bothered by it. I'm a villain no matter what. Let me be selfish and do whatever I want. I'll reach out to those I want to save, and I'll crush those I don't like. It's that simple. Yes, I like that too, Desuno. That's Urza's Goshujin-sama. I ran out of the school and started running toward the King of the Caverns chamber. With carefree steps, I rush toward the entrance of the dungeon, which leads to the darkest depths of the earth. Chapter 35, King of Caverns Chamber. Done Brave is an RPG, in which the theme is to deepen the bond with the heroine while conquering dungeons. Therefore, there are many dungeons in Slayer's Kingdom where the game takes place. One of them is the King of Caverns Chamber, a cave-type dungeon inhabited by many rock monsters such as golems. Urza has a special attack against rock monsters because she uses an Oni Kanabo, a blunt weapon. This would be the perfect place to display her power. Crush, Desuno, Guaya. Urza raises her club with thorns and smashes it against the monster in front of her. The head of a stone-armored big lizard is destroyed, and it lies limp on the ground. The monster Urza is fighting is a stone lizard, a rock-type monster that inhabits the upper and middle floors of the King of Caverns Chamber. They are not weak monsters by any means, but Urza manages to defeat them with a single blow. Even though she exploited the weakness of rock monsters, it was quite an impressive performance. I did it, Goshujin-sama. Yes, well done. Urza reports to me in a cheerful voice, and I pat her white-haired head lightly. In this moment, there were about a dozen dead stone lizards lying around. All of them were killed by Urza, and I didn't have to do anything. As expected of a girl who had beaten a brave man, once again, I was impressed by Urza's strength. I don't see Eris's party. It seems that they have gone deeper than this. The King of Caverns Chamber is a 10-floor dungeon. Currently, we are in the middle of the dungeon, but we have not caught up with Eris and the others yet. It seems that not only Eris, the main heroine, but also those 3 boys are quite good in their own way. They must be diving deeper. Let's dive a little deeper. The monsters are getting stronger, so be careful. Yes, Desuna. We went down the stairs to the lower floor, and this time a bear monster made of stone appeared. Stone bear? This thing is strong. I pull out my sword and point the tip at the enemy. Finally, I have a tough opponent. I can't leave this to Urza alone. It's my turn. I try to move forward, but Urza jumps out of the way before I can. Blow its guts out, Desuno. Urza roared out and she smashed Stone Bear's right leg. Seeing that the monster has been knocked down, Urza jumps. I'll kill it, Desuno. Urza jumps up like a rabbit and smashes Stone Bear's head with her Oni Kanabo. Then the huge stone body fell to the ground and remained motionless. I did it, Goshujin-sama. I saw it. I respond in a subtle voice to Urza, who comes running toward me with a praise me attitude. The stone bear is supposed to be a very difficult monster in the early stage of the game, but Urza beat it with ease. It seems that Urza's potential is higher than I had expected. Is there at least a mid-level job for a warrior? That's very encouraging, but it doesn't help my training. I came to this dungeon because I was curious about Eris Centauria, but I also wanted to improve my skill level if possible. However, it would not be good for my training if Urza continued to fight. Since the battle with the Gargoyle, I have not fought any strong enemy. I'd like to get used to it a little before I encounter powerful monsters in the lower floor. It can't be helped, Urza. Stay back until I say so in the next battle. I can't put Goshujin-sama in danger, Desuno. This is an order. Refusal is not an option. Ew. Urza looks at me with her eyes like a small animal. Even if she looks at me like that, I can't accept it. I sigh and shrug. Could you really trust me? I'm not some little fish who can't do anything without your protection, okay? Gaia-oh, just in time I see the new stone bear. As if to show me what it can do, it steps forward. HMPH, Ga. With a swift step, I ducked its downward swinging claws and slashes at its torso with my sword. The angry stone bear attacks again, but I know all the patterns of its attacks, so I could avoid its attacks with ease, not even glancing at it. Grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr This is the pattern of a charging attack. At this moment, I move to a position where there is a wall behind me. Gah! Stone Bear rushes forward with great force. I have heard that a brown bear can run at 40 km/h 24 mph, but this one is no slouch either. It's got some serious speed. Here we go, Giant. I jumped up and dodged the charge. Stone Bear, which had been charging forward with unabated momentum, crashes head first into the wall behind me. Stone Bear staggers unsteadily as its head hits the wall. At this moment, I thrust my sword into its back from above without mercy. Gah! Stone Bear is hit in the back of the neck, its weak point, and it falls down motionless. I put my sword away and looked back at Urza. So, nothing to worry about, right? As expected of Goshujin-sama, Urza hugged me with words of praise. She snuggled her face into my chest and sniffed me. Her reaction was quite exaggerated. How pathetic did she think I was? Goshujin-sama is strong after all. You are worthy to be my lord, Desuno. That's a little sarcastic coming from you. Well, I don't feel bad about it. With this, I could defeat a middle-class monster solo, without using magic. I should have some confidence in my strength. Although I'm still a novice in terms of skill proficiency, my knowledge and skills in the game have given me an edge against superior opponents. The more monsters I defeat, the easier it is to increase my skill level. At this rate, I should be able to grow up to the point where I can conquer dungeons in no time. However, I must be careful. This is not enough to defeat the Demon King and his entourage. Besides, there is also the worry of dangerous encounters in the dungeon. I told myself not to get carried away, and I led Urza further into the dungeon. We encountered stone bears and stronger rock golems several times, but Urza and I were able to defeat them without any problem. We went deeper and deeper, and eventually we reached the 8th floor of the King of Caverns chamber. We are close to the deepest part of the dungeon, but still no sign of Eris. Perhaps we have passed them somewhere. If so, they may have already turned back outside the dungeon. Just as I was thinking like that, I heard someone scream from the deep end of the dungeon. Chapter 36, The Sacrifice of the Saint. Kaya. A scream pierced the air from deep within the dungeon. It was a high-pitched female voice. Urza and I turned our heads in the direction the voice came from. Just as we were considering whether or not we should go, we heard a scream again, and my eyes glazed over. Damn it! Why are those monsters here? A group of 3 boys come running from the direction of the voice. They were armed and wearing armor, and their faces were familiar. They were the boys who had picked up Eris Centaurea at the school a few hours earlier. The boys looked a little surprised to see us, but they tried to slip past us without a care. Shadowbind? Whoa! The magic I had cast stopped them. Shadow tentacles crawl out from under their feet and bind the boys. Hey, you. Stop right there. Why, you're Baskerville. How did you? Answer the question, why are you here, and what about Eris Centaurea? We were just in the dungeon to collect items and materials. It can't be helped. I can't believe such a strong monster came out. Really, you guys didn't mean to leave her. But, Tusk. I quickly realized the situation and clicked my tongue. Apparently, they had unexpectedly encountered a powerful monster and had escaped on their own, leaving Eris behind. Let's go, Urza. Yes, Desuno. I immediately turn around and run deeper into the dungeon. I don't think that Eris, a healer, can get out of this predicament by herself. If I don't get there immediately, her life will be in danger. For now, I leaves the restrained boys alone and tries to go deeper into the dungeon. W8, can you remove the spell? We can't escape. I don't care, you idiot. I spit out and run without looking back. Anyway, I've killed most of the monsters in the area. Hopefully, they'll be safe until the binding spell wears off. Even if the monsters find them, I don't care about the lives of those who would abandon their friends, especially the woman whom they forcefully recruited, and run away. Without hesitation, I went deeper and deeper. After a while, I came to an open area. There was Eris Centaurea and a monster. Is that a Gigant mithril? I gasp, gnashing my teeth at the sight of the familiar monster. A shining blue-silver golem is swinging its fist at Eris. Eris is using one of the holy magic spells called Sanctuary, and is praying desperately while blocking enemy attacks with a hemispherical barrier. Sanctuary is a barrier that can be used by priests of the holy attribute, and it is a magic that can prevent attacks for a certain period of time. It was a powerful defensive magic, but while protected by the barrier, the user could not move or use any other magic, and the duration of the barrier was not long. And now, Gigant Mithril repeatedly slams its fist against the barrier. The translucent barrier was already fading away, and it was obvious that there was no time left for its effect. Dark Bullet, Gah. A black bullet lands on the head of Gigant Mithril. The attack with elementary magic did not do much damage, but it succeeded in drawing its attention. The silvery blue golem stops punching the barrier and turns to face me. You are Baskerville-sama? Eris looks up in surprise at the sudden intruder. Her eyes widened while she were staring at me from a distance. Run away, you are no match for this monster. In this situation, can you say help instead of run away? You really are no different than in the game, aren't you? I sigh and laugh, oblivious to the situation. Eris Centaurea is a very kind-hearted and self-sacrificing woman. She believes that her existence is worth sacrificing herself for the sake of others, and she is willing to sacrifice her life to help those in need. Perhaps, the fact that she was attacked by the Gigant Mithril was a result of her taking the bait in order to save the trio. Eris Centaurea, I've always respected you, but you piss me off just as much. Gaga 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 gaga, I ducked under the swinging fist of Gigant Mithril and ran over to Eris. Urza, buy some time. Don't attack too aggressively, just avoid. Yes, Desuno, Urza did as ordered, moving left and right to attract the enemy's attention. Gigant Mithril has a high attack power but a very low hit rate. With a speed and fighting sense as good as Urza's, it is not difficult for her to keep dodging until the golem runs out of energy. About the same time, I arrive to Eris, whose barrier is lifted. I pick up Eris, who falls down exhausted. Hey, are you okay? Eris moans weakly. Although she has a glamorous body with clearly protruding parts, she is surprisingly thin and light when I pick her up in this way. With such a body, she has been fighting all alone. To save someone, to sacrifice herself. Run away, don't worry about me. If you don't, she'll die and so will you, please leave me alone. Are you still saying that? Really? Eris grabs my shoulder weakly and pleads with me to run away again. I feel a little annoyed, but I force the bottle of recovery medicine into Eris's mouth and force her to swallow the liquid. Apparently, I need to give this idiot in front of me a lecture before I smash that big piece of shit. With this thinking, I squeezed Eris's shoulder and opened my mouth. Chapter 37, Tears of the Saint. You idiot. Who's going to listen to you? A, I guess she didn't expect me to reject her. Eris's eyes turned black and white at my blunt words. B, but if things continue as is, you will die as well. Please don't die for someone like me. Someone like me, huh? You have a very low self-esteem. You make it sound like your life is worthless. That's the reason why a girl named Eris Centaurea has come to sacrifice herself. So much is because of her mother. Eris, the daughter of a viscount, was attacked by bandits when she was a child while traveling with her mother in a carriage along the streets. While her guards and attendants were killed one after another, Eris' mother cast a barrier to protect her daughter. The barrier magic drains her magical power as time passes. And thinking that her lovely daughter would be killed if the barrier removed, the mother forcefully extended the effect of the barrier by draining her life force even after her magic power was exhausted. As a result, she succeeded in protecting her daughter until the patrolling guards arrived, but in exchange, she lost her life. However, after surviving in exchange for her mother's life, Eris began to take her own life lightly and to give up her life for the sake of others. I hate that kind of self-sacrifice the most. I hate it when people who can live give up their lives, when people who can be happy but miss the opportunity that's right in front of them. Are you mocking me? B, but I'm a servant of God, and I have a duty to serve others. That's what's annoying, and since there's no hero here, I will say it for you. Think of the people who will be sad when you're dead. Your father who raised you, your mother who died for you. Don't you realize that when you deny yourself, you're denying the people who care about you too? Eris is frozen speechless. It was a line that Leon, the main character, should have said, but he is unfortunately not here. Then, I have no choice but to say it. I can't allow such a depressing situation where only others are saved and one heroine dies without being saved. Now that I have been reborn in this world, I will not allow the heroine to be unhappy. I will become a hero or a villain if I have to destroy all the depressing developments. Your life is yours. There is no life you can waste for others. If you can't even make yourself happy, how dare you try to make others happy? Don't be so self-centered. Don't you have things you want to do? Don't you have hobbies? If you don't want to die, why don't you just say so? Be a wimp and cling to me for help. Eris's blue eyes were dripping with tears. Her tears are as beautiful as pearls. She had survived her mother's death and had chosen to sacrifice herself as if to punish herself. And because of her great ability, People around her were also spoiled by the kindness of Eris and treated her like a saint. But I will destroy such sweetness and illusion. She is neither a saint nor an angel. She is just a weak little girl, that's what I will tell her. Can I be saved? Can I, someone like me, who survived at the cost of my mother's life, ask for someone else's help? You idiot, it's a privilege of the weak to ask for help. You're weaker than me, so get off your ass and beg for your life. Why yes, please help me, please help me. Eris said in response to my blunt words. It seems that my thoughts had been heard. I patted my chest in relief and turned my face away from her to cover up the fact that I had uttered the embarrassing words. Huff, I envy beautiful women because they are also beautiful when they cry. I really want to see them cry. It's so embarrassing to be called beautiful. Of course I'm being sarcastic, don't blush. I said these words with a sarcastic intention, but for some reason Eris's cheeks turn rose-colored and her face looks down. I felt a strange flag in the corner of my head. However, I pretended not to notice it and took out a magic potion from my magic bag. I'm going to sink the big guy now, and you're going to help me. You have no right to refuse. I understand, but that monster is really powerful. Even if we attack it together earlier, we couldn't put a scratch on it. I'm not like those scum who leave women behind. I have a plan. A little further away, Urza and Gigant Mithril are fighting. Urza seemed to be able to avoid its punches, but she still cannot do any damage. Still, her white skin is not without damage. Every time Gigant Mithril strikes the ground, a piece of stone shattered by the punch is grazed on Urza's white skin. But Urza also seems to hit her opponents when she sees an opportunity, though this does not seem to result in any damage. Gigant Mithril had hardly any wounds. Gigant Mithril was hardly damaged, huh? Just like in the game. Gigant Mithril is not a monster that is usually encountered. They are dangerous enemies called dangerous encounter monsters that rarely appear during dungeon exploration. Also, one of the mysterious beliefs of the production staff of Done Brave says, there is no safe dungeon. In other words, no dungeon is 100% safe, no matter how familiar player might be with it. There is always the possibility of unforeseen circumstances. Based on this strangely realistic belief, the production staff included a certain setting in this game. This setting is a mysterious theory called dangerous encounter monster. With a 0.1% chance, such monsters, which are obviously more powerful than their dungeon level, appear in the dungeon. Each of them has a strange skill that makes them a first-time killer player. If the players encounter them, they will inevitably be annihilated by them. Heal Urza, that demi-human girl, while you regain your magic power. Meanwhile, I'm going to start chanting magic. I unilaterally instruct Eris and enter the preparatory stage of casting the spell. In the game, I have encountered this strange creature several times, and it has given me a lot of trouble. Let me return the favor here. Chapter 38 Gigant Slayer. No stop, magic doesn't work on that monster. Eris shouts in panic as I start chanting magic. Huff. Of course, I know it. Gigant Mithril, that dangerous monster, has its body covered with a coating of mithril ore. Mithril is a metal highly resistant to magic. Thanks to this, magic attacks are repelled and do no damage at all. Just shut up and obey me, can you? Do your job as you're told. Ew. Eris' eyes flicker with confusion, but she still follows the instructions and casts a healing spell on Urza, who is stalling for time. Urza's wounds, large and small, disappear without a trace as she is enveloped in a green light. Exhale, strength up, guard up, stamina charge, rapid foot. I suddenly have a lot of power. I can still fight, Desu no? She continues, casting one auxiliary magic after another to boost Urza's abilities. This is an appropriate action as a rear guard. Eris, one of the main heroines, is a very capable one. I was reminded of her greatness through our joint battle. That's good, your strength is recovery and support. You're not going to go out there and shield someone, you're not going to fight head-on. I know that, but I still don't want to see someone else get hurt. If we're hurt, you can heal us. That is your job as a healer. And it is our job, as the vanguard, to stand in front and protect the rear guard. Well then, Eris is silent, and I focus on my own work again. Magic is no good against Gigant Mithril. Physical attacks are not that effective either. This monster is very hard, and its endurance is almost inexhaustible. If I try to beat it with physical attacks, I need to have a skill level as high as that of the latter half of the game. It's a real, first-time killer. It shows the ill character of the production staff. I swore at the ill-natured production staff and took an item out of my magic bag without stopping my chanting. The magic I am about to invoke cannot be used with my current level of proficiency in dark magic. As there is no level system in the world of Dunbrave, I have to acquire a magic book to master new magic. The new magic can be used by learning it from the spellbook, and furthermore, by training the skill to the level of proficiency to invoke the magic. On the other hand, it is possible to learn powerful magic even with low proficiency as long as someone has a spellbook. It is just that it cannot be invoked. Mithril Gigant, there are two ways to defeat it. The first one is to force it with physical attacks. By avoiding the enemy's attacks and by attacking it continuously, I can chip away at its durability. The second is to use magic. Gigant Mithril nullifies magic. Actually, it is a fake. Though the mithril armor of this monster can nullify magic attacks, if it receives more than a certain amount of magic damage, the mithril armor is destroyed and it turns into a simple golem. Incidentally, this strategy was not available in the game, and it was an information that was posted on the strategy site after an unbelievable number of players challenged this gigant golem. With these information, I take out a rainbow-colored bottle from my bag and crush it in my hand. Immediately, a rainbow-colored light envelops my body. Paid item, doping bottle. Nevertheless, I can't use enough magic to break down the armor of Gigant Mithril at my current skill level. So, I used a paid item to temporarily increase my skill level to the maximum. With this, my skill in dark magic is maxed out, and I can use magic that I can't use now. Now I can use even the highest level of dark magic. Get back, Urza. Dark magic, Abyss Gate. Urza instantly breaks away in response to my voice. The next moment, a jet-black darkness like a black hole engulfs Gigant Mithril. Abyss Gate, a single attack-type dark magic. The power of this magic, which can be invoked only when one's mastery of dark magic reaches 90 or more, is truly one of the most powerful. Except for Zenon Baskerville, only the Demon King can use this magic among the characters in Dunbrave. This is the ultimate in darkness, and it consumes Gigant Mithril. Gaga Gaga Gaga, Mithril's armor is destroyed like a piece of paper by the most powerful single attack magic. The stone body that emerges from beneath the armor is also shattered. Even after the Gigant Mithril is destroyed, the darkness of the abyss continues to erode, crushing the remains of its stone until it is reduced to a fine powder of sand. This is a clear overkill. After the Gigant Mithril is gone, all that is left is a small metal the size of the palm of one's hand. Successfully defeated, good grief. Did it work, Desuno, as expected of Gashujin-sama? Amazing, this is Baskerville-sama's power. Urza hugged Eris with a cheerful voice, and Eris breathed a sigh of dismay. Mother, have I finally met the one to whom I must devote everything? The one you told me was my destiny. Gashujin-sama, you were so cool, Desuno. Eris mumbles, but her soft words are drowned out by Urza's bright voice. It is only a short time before I realize that missing the murmur is a fatal problem. Chapter 39. Saint's Oath. After defeating the Gigant Mithril, I collected its metal and exited the dungeon. By the way, the metals I collected are the proofs of the dangerous encounter strategy, and I can get special items by collecting the metals. The person who I can exchange the metals is called the Witch of the Well. But does she live at the bottom of the well, as in the game? Anyway, a little further back in the dungeon, there was a former Eris party member still tied up, crying out in fear and delirium. Despite all the fuss, they are lucky that the monsters did not find them, and they seem to be unharmed for the time being. I thought that I should leave them there, but Eris, the victim of the party, asked me to let go of them. No, you can't do that, Zenon-sama. What's the use of saving them? They are not worth keeping alive. Before I knew it, I was called by my first name. When I tilted my head, Eris took on the tone of a child. They left me behind, but that's because I took the bait myself. So, it's not logical to blame them all. That may be true, but that doesn't change the fact that they abandoned their party members, does it? Even so, it is the job of the teachers of the school to punish them. There is no reason for us to do private punishment based on our personal beliefs. When I expressed my dissatisfaction, Eris raised her index finger and added, "Besides, Zenon-sama doesn't have to get his hands dirty for people like this, right? Please don't do anything that will further damage your reputation when other people are afraid of you." MMM. I frown a little and shut up. Eris has a good point. Even though it's their own fault, I will be blamed in the school if I tie them up and feeds them to the monster. There is a possibility that Jean and other friends I have made will leave me. Without any choice, I shrugged my shoulders and released the binding spell I had cast on them. "You are really a saint. I can't believe you're showing mercy to these worthless people." "I'm a saint? No way." I said, half in admiration and half in ridicule, and Eris shook her head in exasperation. "I don't want to save them. What I want to protect is your honor. After all, Zenon-sama saved my life." "Huff, you're getting cocky. Since when did you become my guardian?" The boys are released from their restraints, and with a woo-a sound, they run toward the stairs to the upper floor. Eris doesn't follow them, and for some reason, she and Urza are snuggled up to me. I wouldn't feel anything if it were with a smooth lowly like Urza, but Eris is a beautiful girl with a voluptuous figure. I am afraid that my arms might touch her protruding bosom if she comes closer than necessary. "Aren't you too close to me? I'd like you to walk a little further away from me. I can't stand it if I am falsely accused of molestation in such a place." But Eris's cheeks turned rose-colored, and she smiled. "I am a healer, so I need you to protect me in case of emergency. It would be better not to keep too much distance from me, wouldn't it?" No, you're still too close to me. And wasn't it Zenon-sama who told me I could do as I please? It was Zenon-sama who said I could live for myself, so I do what I want. Please take responsibility for your words. When she said this with a mischievous smile, I had no choice but to be silent. Why did this happen? Well, I know it's because of me, but isn't this a complete flag? Though it's not a cuckolding, because Eris is not yet in a party with Leon, but I'm sure that I've taken away the flag that Leon would have raised. By the way, Zenon-sama. What is it? Just before my mother passed away, she told me, "Find the one to whom you are destined to give your all and marry him. That person will surely become your hero. Is Zenon-sama a hero, like my mother said?" Hey, you've got to be kidding. How can I be a hero? On the contrary, I'm an enemy character who leads the world to ruin by cuckolding the hero. I don't know what Eris' mother was thinking when she left such a will, but I think she was mistaken. "I see, then maybe you are going to be a hero now. Whether Zenon-sama will be a hero or a villain depends entirely on your will." "I don't understand. I mean, since when did you change your occupation to a fortune teller? And I don't remember giving you any life advice." I say in astonishment, but Eris looks back at me with a straight face. She takes my arm and sandwiches it on her soft chest. She then opens her mouth with a solemn air, as if she is making a vow to the gods. "If you become a hero, I will become both a saint and a guardian angel to protect you. If you will end up an ordinary man, I will devote my life to you as an ordinary woman. The one I serve, the one I am destined to serve, I swear to you that I will always be by your side in sickness and in health." Eris says this with her eyes closed in prayer. I don't think such a line has ever appeared in the game. What kind of flag did I set? What will happen now? At a loss for what to do with the unexpected turn of events, I focused my attention on the feeling of Eris's chest against my hand for the time being. Chapter 40, Freedom and Condemnation. The next day, I arrived at the school as usual and was summoned to the student guidance office. My homeroom teacher, Wanko-sensei, and the head of the year and the student advisor questioned me strictly about the incident in the dungeon yesterday. Apparently, Eris and those who abandoned her had reported me to the school. The three boys said, "I was exploring in the dungeon when suddenly I was restrained by magic and left there. I was almost killed by a demon." They never mentioned that they had used Eris as a decoy and left her for dead, a report that completely ignored the part that was inconvenient for them. "Yes, it's true," but I replied in a curt tone of voice. Their report lacked details, but it was not a lie. It was an undeniable fact that I had cast a spell on them and left them there. "I see, may I ask why?" Wanko-sensei asks in a sincere tone with an accusatory look in her eyes. "I've heard many bad rumors about you, but I don't think that you are a person who commits violence against others for no reason. Do you have a reason for that? Is there any reason? He is the scum of Baskerville." It was not me who answered, but a male student advisor. A bald, middle-aged teacher yell at me hysterically. You did it to steal their money and materials, didn't you? If we keep a criminal who commits crimes in our school's honor will be damaged. He should be expelled immediately. This is a very one-sided argument. Come to think of it, this middle-aged teacher is an enemy character in a video game. He takes bribes from some students in the school to falsify grades and to divert test questions. And he also takes advantage of the weakness of female students and commits indecent acts. In the game, Leon accidentally discovers this man's true nature and fights to save the subheroine who is being blackmailed and brings all his evil deeds to light. Are you making a statement without hearing my side of the story? Did you take a bribe from them by any chance? What? It seems I hit the mark. The middle-aged teacher got upset in an interesting way. I wonder how such an obvious guy could keep his wrongdoings under wraps all this time. In disgust, I get up from my chair. As I was heading for the door, Wenko-sensei hurriedly called out to me. Baskerville-kun, I haven't finished yet, I'm fully sorry. But I'd like to voluntarily be suspended from here on out for a while. Please contact me at the mansion when the official punishment is decided. Such a selfish thing. Also, about yesterday's incident, please talk to Centauria-san. I'm sure you'll hear an interesting story. With these words, I walked out of the guidance room despite Wenko-sensei's efforts to restrain me. I could have pleaded my case here, but all the teachers and staff, except for Wenko-sensei, had already decided that I was a member of the Baskerville family and that I was a bad person from the beginning. It was obvious that it would turn out to be an argument over whether I did or did not do something. In that case, I'm sorry, but I'll leave the rest to Eris. She is trustworthy, and I am sure she will explain me in a good way. Have you finished? Goshujin-sama. As soon as I left the room, Urza, who I had ordered to wait on the outside, came running to me. She looked like a puppy waiting for her owner to come home. If she had a tail, it would have swung wildly from side to side. Yeah, let's go. I answered shortly and went to the entrance to leave the school building. This meant I would be absent from the school for a while, but that was rather convenient. Missing some school is not a problem. Zenon Baskerville has a brilliant mind, so classroom work is no problem, and dungeon exploration is just a matter of going into an outside school dungeon. In fact, it would be much more efficient to take advantage of this opportunity to do some outside work than to go to school diligently. We're going to the Adventurers Guild now. There will be some quests, and we may have to fight some monsters. Be prepared. Yes, Desuno. I love fighting, Desuno. Urza replies to my command by raising her hand vigorously. As I have some free time now, I'd like to take this opportunity to finish up the sub-events that are happening in the capital. Of course, I will leave the important events to Leon, who is the main character, but some of the events have a time limit. There are also some hidden events that can be found only by going around and using strategy sites, so there must be many events that Leon has missed. Let's focus on these events and earn proficiency and event items. Well, let's start playing the hero, shall I? Let's fully enjoy the events of the game. End of Volume 1.